High-Tech Drifting Australia would like to commemorate round 3 at Queensland Raceway to the memory of Scott Cole. Welcome to the Sunshine State, where the High-Tech Drift Australia Series has made its way for round 3. Queensland Raceway is where we're at, and we are partway through an incredible series. Let's talk championship points. Leader, Bo Yates, he's almost unstoppable, isn't he, Jake Kennedy?
Mate, Bo Yates' form this weekend, some say he's impeccable. His form is outstanding. He's been on the door of everyone in practice. He's been putting in the hard laps, dialing in his car. He's ready to take the win.
He's currently running on 197 points, some 50 points back in second place. Cooter El Hooley, talk to me about the Garage Works guy.
Well, Cooter's unfortunately not here this weekend. His brother's here. They've been working on that car all weekend. They've been sending it. I know there was a bit of banter between the two brothers saying he's going to take the championship points off him. Sad to see Cooter not here. Hopefully he's back here for the next round. But after a big hit like that, you know, these boys have got to put in the hard yards to get that car back to A1 condition, and that's what their garage is about.
Only 4 points back is third place Scott Shembry, one half of the High-Tech Blaze unit. Man, these guys are on fire. Literally, we saw it at round 2. But we're going to go and have a look at qualifying. Qualifying order is looking amazing. Let's have a chat to our top qualifier, Bo Yates in the Toyota Genuine Parts 8.6. Bo, top qualifier. It's always a good thing for your campaign, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I was sitting on the wall and watching everyone go around, and I thought, God, I've got to do something special. I mean, all these cars out here, they're just making a lot of smoke and hitting all the clips, and the driver level this weekend is right up there. So, look, you know, it's a credit to everyone on board, Toyota Genuine Parts, Hypertune, JHH Racing. They build the engine. They're actually up here in Queensland. Scott from M-Tron, he tunes it, and the car just runs flawlessly. So when you've got a good platform underneath you, it makes it easy to drive.
Well, we are doing something incredibly special. Round 3 has been dedicated to the memory of Scott Cole. We'd actually like to bring Leanne in. Leanne, if you could please give this one away to our top qualifier for Pro, Bo Yates. On behalf of the Cole family, Bo, congratulations. How's it feeling?
Yeah, listen, this is pretty special. I mean, I've seen Mitch around the scene for a long time, and Leanne, I obviously have a chat to you every now and then when we're at the rounds. But I think on behalf of myself and my team and my wife, Rebecca, and Toyota and my whole team, I think this is probably better off somewhere in your house. And, you know, my heartfelt condolence to you and Mitch and your family for everything you've been going through. So, look, rather than me putting this up on my mantelpiece, I'd probably rather give it back to you guys and you put it somewhere special. All right.
Leanne, we want to say a massive, massive thank you. Scott, he was an incredible part of the community. How does this feel?
Oh, we feel very honoured. Very honoured. Thank you to George and everyone for making this happen for him. And everyone here's great. And Scott really loved the drifting, and the biggest part of it was the community here is so amazing. So it's a big family, and I feel very honoured on behalf of me and my family. And Scott.
Well, we have an incredible competition here today. Let's go up to our commentary box where we have Dave Carter and Jake Kennedy.
Again, from our commentary team, our condolences to the Cole family. You know, they've put so much support behind the sport of drifting, following it interstate, always the first to be out there and lending a hand. So it's great to see the sport being able to give something back to that family, and we appreciate your support. Bo Yates outside the car, ultimate nice guy, and I say that again and again. Glad to see him, you know, get recognised for that on camera. But this is what he's best known for, is his skills behind the wheel. We see a nice feint into that first corner there. A couple of people have been handbrake heavy, but Bo doing that very nicely. You can see why he got the top spot early on in that run. is coming through this middle section here, which can be a little bit difficult, especially when you're pushing for those outside clips and then harsh into that inside, quick transition back. You've got a midline here widening onto the outside of turn 6, which is about the fastest way through this 3 to 6 section, and it's the line that you see a lot of these quicker grassroots drivers from up here seeing. So it's great to see the judges taking note of how the locals are driving it and really pushing the pros to see how much road speed they can get through that section. You were here for a lot of yesterday as well, Jake, seeing this practice. I mean, how'd you see not only the locals, but a lot of the interstaters who haven't driven here before? How'd you see them wrestling with that judge line?
100%. These guys have been trying so hard. Yesterday I was talking to Scott Shembry and the boys. Scott and Jabbett, both boys, have not ever in a competitive format driven this track before. Watching them learn their curves, making sure they're in the middle, talking to the judges. Scott having a little bit of issues with his car, jumped into another car, then back into his normal car. He just struggled yesterday, finally got it dialed in. He's had a hard weekend, but he's here. He's ready to go.
A lot of other people who probably don't have a lot of experience under their belt on this track, but who are up here ready to give it a go. I mean, we've got Jordan Graham. Seeing him drive is always a weapon. We've seen names like Lana and Botcher and, you know, all these big interstate names and big, like, drivers who've been huge in the sport for so long coming together up against each other. It's going to be a crazy event. You know, if you're down in the pits there and just want to see what the people on the live stream are seeing, be sure to jump on the High Tech Drift Australia Facebook page. The live stream is up there already. They're also getting it out there on Twitter with High Tech Drift Oz. I believe they've got an Instagram handle as well that I'm sure will pop up on screen. And so there we go, High_Tech Drift AU. So be sure to get around it wherever you get your social feed from. But we will be live streaming out and about. So anyone who's already joined us at home, you know, thank you so much for coming and joining on the live stream. We've got J-Mac in the pits getting the lay of the land before we head into Pro-Am.
Number 2 qualifier, Mitch Doyle. You came out of absolutely nowhere and cemented yourself in the second spot. How does it feel? Bo Yates one up on you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. After unfortunately blowing the diff in practice this morning, having to pull the diff back out of the BMW. And I had Tristan and my old man swinging spanners this morning, getting it back in, and it's actually feeling pretty good. So the first lap of consistency, Tristan on the radio in the head, just go for it and don't hold back. So second lap, 91.3, whatever it was pretty awesome.
Well, we are looking forward to seeing you out there. Best of luck.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Man, one driver that I'm keen to see driving again and again. You know, after each event, you know, I was having a chat. And we're down at the pub, I think it was after the Wakefield round, and it was so cool to hear just from that driver's perspective, oh, this is what I'm working on, and, you know, come so far, I want to make sure that I'm getting a really good result, that I'm focusing, and it's starting to come back already up here in Queensland, a bit closer to, you know, sunny NT as home, but,
I was just down there as well.
90s result.
You're just down there as well, talking to Bo Yates, and he was just saying, mate, look, I cannot believe that Mitch Doyle is up there. He's been putting in the hard yards. He goes, mate, this guy... He called him out yesterday in practice, and here he is, sitting right there in second place.
Big results up north and bringing them to the rest of the states as well. Here's a really cool view we get from another NT local, Danny Probert in that X-Drift, the big barra-powered Falcon. See those rear tyres locking a little bit on the entry there, and then on the power, and away we go.
10 sets just yesterday in practice. You can see why he's gone through 10 sets. Struggled this morning, a little bit of a miss they're finding in the engine. So the boys said they're going to give him a clip across the ear off and say, just drive through it, you can do it.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty typical of Queensland Raceway. You know, the heat up here combined with a relatively grippy surface and a high-power, flat-out layout, it means that, you know, you see, especially these turbocharged cars, they're getting probably a little bit more under bonnet temp than they'd see at other tracks and in other climates. You know, that puts your ignition system under stress. It puts your fuel system under stress. You know, anything else that you've got electronic in the engine bay, and it's just those tiny little gremlins, especially when you're trying to push the most you can out of an ignition system or running something with a lot of boost.
100%.
That's when you start to get that spark breakdown, a little bit of misfires here and there. And as much as you can drive through those misfires, it's often what you'll see, you know, bending rods, hurting ringlands. So it's a conservative, you know, effort up here is to try and get those cars running right. But you get to a point where you're spinning spanners and stressing about the car before the pedals, where it's just like bang, bang, like you said. Let's get out there and drive
90% of this track is driven at angle, you know, so there's not much airflow through these engines. So these guys, bonnets are off, they're making holes in the front guards, they're trying to pump as much air as they can into these engines. The sun is shining, everyone's having a ball out there, and you can see these guys, they're trying their best to keep it cool, make it happen.
And that being said, like, yeah, it is hot up here, but we've been blessed with the weather, really. It's only in your mid-20s, about a 26, 27. Got a really strong breeze blowing across the track in the direction of flow as well, which is quite handy. So as these cars are coming through, the chase car is going to get a pretty good view, you know, with that smoke behind them, pushing that lead car's smoke out of the way. You get a clear view of where the track's going. The track temp's up there. Not hot enough to really be cooking cars, but you will still need to focus on tyre life, making sure you're not cooking that car. And like Bo was saying before, not heat cycling the car too many times. You want to make sure you're finishing the event with a race car that's worth getting out there and able to battle.
But you've added in that big problem now too, is these boys, half of these guys haven't driven a track at this speed, and the smoke that these cars are putting off, they're not used to the smoke that's coming out of these tyres. These boys are staying committed, driving through that smoke, staying on that judge line that they want. They want chasers on doors, and these guys are driving straight through it. There's going to be some exciting battles.
I think that midsection, like corners 4 and 5, is where we're really going to see that smoke come into play. So as they switch back out of 3, a lot of cars are hard on the power. They're trying to extend through that middle section. And yes, there might be a bit of a dip in road speed as you brake, but from what I've heard from some of the drivers, with the way that the clips are set up here, they're basically trying to transition under most of their power and stay into it. So when you're talking about the big power guys with big tyres, that quickly becomes a smoke show through what is probably the most technical section of the layout. So 100%. I think we're going to see some people get lost, some people looking for clips.
Yes, we have, and they've also added in, which we'll talk about once we see a couple of the battles, they've got an SRP. They're calling it the switch reference point. It's not actually on the judge line, but that's where they're saying that we want you to see the switchback happen between this area, and they will be commenting on that as well.
Yeah, nice. Sounds like you got the inside word from the judges, so by all means, feel free to just jump in if I'm missing something, because I want to see this.
Straight back into the battles again. Isaac in the chase, John Dreyer in the lead. John's been having a little bit of gremlins this morning, setting up a good lead run there, running all the way out to the clipping point. Coming in, that's the SRP there, straight through. Nice. Isaac with a little straight in there. John Dreyer pushing out. Absolutely amazing to the outside line. Isaac, bit of a touch there maybe?
Very tight chase there from Isaac, yeah, but straightening again, potentially having maybe gear selection issues, because each time we've seen that car straighten seems to be around the time that you would be grabbing a gear.
100%. Unfortunate for Isaac, he only got 1 lap yesterday in practice. So
it makes it so hard on a layout like this as well. Where
looks like there might have been a gear error there into the first turn. Not too sure. Maybe the superior engine with that new engine, he's putting out some big horsepower out of that engine now. John Dreyer probably just taking a little bit of a slower approach. He's got a little demon there.
Yeah, it's an interesting car, that little Bluebird. You know, I like the nickname you guys brought up yesterday, the Angry Bird. It definitely suits it. Got that headlight angle.
Got 1 lap yesterday. Yeah.
Here we go, though, into the next battle now. This is
so we've just lost everything. So we've got Daniel Mesmer here in the lead, leading against Colm Goff. Colm's, he's one of the veterans of the sport. He's built this car up. He's done quite a few events and finally stepped up into the high tech. Daniel Mesmer, he's currently doing really well in the championship. Oh, do we want to turn that off? right, so
looks like issues there with Isaac Gett's car rolling back under hazards. And we saw earlier when he was chasing John Dreyer as well that there was a couple of straightens in there. I was hinting towards gear selection issues, but the fact that he's coming back under hazards as well makes you think maybe it's having some sort of power cutout, because it also seemed to be the point again. Look, he will look on the replay out there on the handbrake, initiating well, had the hazards on early, so I'd say that he's known that issue was coming through, and it looks like, yeah, it's just running out of power there, not getting wide, lots of handbrake, trying to extend, and nearly contact there against John Dreyer, who we've just heard from the judges got the win. So obviously not the way that Isaac Gett would want to be going home.
Unfortunate having those ignition issues yesterday. Ended up getting some Series 2 coil packs today. Said he went out there, felt good, but still must have that intermitting problem with those coils.
So that'd make sense if it's a carryover from yesterday, is that maybe it's something else in the ignition system. I mean, they are quite sensitive to earthing and that sort of stuff. So
Levi Clark in the lead here. Big entry yet again from Levi, always throwing down big entries. Again, putting on the angle there, sending it right out to that outer clipping zone.
We'd expect nothing less from Levi. He is a local here, and it's good to see him out in competition again. Looks like he's giving Brad Toohey a bit of a hard time with a gap opening up there, but will he tuck in on the switchback? Toohey just that step behind as they come through here, but that 8.6 reeling in the S15. Wouldn't say that there's a huge power difference here, but a battle of the different inlet styles. So we've got the
Twin
Exetti
Pro
clutch S15 there with a big turbo, looks like a GT45 LS, up against the
Twin Pro Charge.
Yeah, Twin Pro Charge 8.6 of Brad Toohey.
Yes. Both different engine combinations. Both engines are coming on at boost power, totally different. You know, you got one with the Pro Charger making boost straight off the bat, and then Levi having to work his engine to keep in the boost range. So showing that he's got a little bit more form there, showing quite a lot more speed coming onto the main straight there.
It's a good layout for it though. Both of these cars, you know, it's not really demanding on response. You just got to know where the car's going to be and what you're trying to do with it. I'm sure we'll see plenty of those sprayer setups going around the pits. Dreyer on the sprayer. I mean, we're running. There's so many different things to say about this little Bluebird, but it's well, let's let the man himself have a chat about it. John Dreyer down there with J-Mac.
John Dreyer, what's it like when someone aborts a drift when you're in the chase position and really close behind?
Oh, Isaac was great. He gave me a heads up. He said that the car had been playing up and he wasn't able to sort it out. He gave me the heads up on the line saying, look, I may be a bit sketchy, and listen for the car to break down. So I was on the listen for that. I hung back a little bit after the first outer zone, and I was trying to gain back, and I wasn't sure how his car was going, and then obviously it cut out. I'm glad I was sitting that distance back so I could have a bit of room there. But unfortunate for him, he's done great this weekend. Hasn't had many laps, had some issues, but so have I. I'm just glad to get through. Unfortunately, in the situation, it's just racing, isn't it?
It definitely is, and we're looking forward to more from this Bluebird.
Yeah, me too.
Back to commentary.
Man, it's a hard one, but that avoidance craft is one of the key skills to learn in drifting. You know, you are putting a lot of faith in the other driver, but anything can happen. You know, even something as simple as like a tie rod end pulling loose, or you know, or something stupid like emergency shutdown or a blown cooler pipe or whatever. Even the best drivers do have those moments that'll straighten the car or do something unexpected. So driving door to door or as close as you can possibly get, you always need to be ready for that split-second emergency exit.
That's it. So we have John Overdoulis in the lead here against Clee Rickman in his LS32 Army car. Setting a little bit wide there with a little bit of a straighten. Jono's been on 4 more weekends, still setting pretty much a qualifying line right through there, filling out that outer zone completely.
Pretty similar cars there of R32s with the naturally aspirated LS under the bonnet.
And then one turbocharged in the R32 Army car.
Yeah.
One big turbo under that car. I had a look at it yesterday, and they put a lot of R&D into that car, so good to see the boys out here still kicking tyres.
So it's funny to see as well that a power advantage isn't always everything. So there would be a hell of a lot more power in that Army 32 four-door at the back. But John Overdouris bring the road speed up, so it's not all about wheel speed. And I heard he's gone, hoo-wee, NASCAR in that thing with a NASCAR gearbox. He's cheering about that.
He'd be loving it. And Porter Performance setting up that car. I know they work a lot together, setting up that car and getting it to dial into Jono's driving style.
Looks to be steering well and very grippy to boot. That is what you want on a layout like this. It's so reliant on your transition and on your mid-corner drive. If you end up washing wide, you're going to lose cars pretty quickly. There's the Levi Clark.
Sorry, we just got there. So Brad Toohey in the lead there, Levi Clark in the chase there. You can see the difference in these guys' angle lines and running. Brad Toohey setting up a good line, which is automatically what the judges spoke about yesterday. If the lead guy can set a good line, they want that chase car to be able to emulate exactly what that lead car is driving. They said they'll heavily award the lead driver for setting up a great line. So we'll go back to the replay here on the entry again. Still a big entry again from Levi in the chase. This guy's not scared to throw down big entries. Again, setting up nice all the way out to the outer clipper zone, hitting that switch reference point all the way through. Again, a little bit of a straighten there by Brad Toohey, but gets back up on the power, sends it right into that clipping zone again. Again, that front clip right up onto that nose, aiming at the judges pretty much there. All the way back onto the last turn, filling out that outer zone completely. Still a good run. Little bit, both guys, a little bit of sloppy things, but, you know, it comes down to what the judges want to see, and that's it.
I think that middle section is where we're really going to see battles won or done, because it's a lot harder than it looks on camera. You do need to, if you're pushing wide, be hard on the power and be right out there, whereas we're seeing a lot of drivers switching back at that switchback reference point, but maybe not getting into the power enough or not carrying enough wheel speed or road speed to then end up wide where they need to be. So we're seeing some handbrake extensions, a couple of corrections, and trying to push that line wider.
Unfortunately, the TV doesn't show that track. There's quite a bit of a dip, like an undulating section through there. So the cars, they generally do get a bit unsettled. I know you and we've both done plenty of laps around this track at Matt Series and stuff like that, so we know what the track's done. Unfortunately for some of these guys, this is the first time they've gone around the track, so coming into a battles, these guys are still learning, you know. They've got to set themselves up, they've got to get in that right mainframe to just totally send it with the guy in front, because they've got to have...
It's all about, and I think where a lot of these guys are maybe coming unstuck, is being used to other layouts that aren't as well suited to drifting, where you do have to lift and, you know, maybe brake a little bit and alter your wheel speed. Whereas this, it's pretty much an set your target and pin it and go for it, especially with these high-powered, lightweight, very gripped-up comp cars. They can change direction wherever they need to, and it's the guys who are staying on the power and really pushing wide and looking for those clipping points that seem to be succeeding thus far.
100%. We've got Mark Materian here in the lead, back to the Pro-Am battles, being chased by, pretty sure that would be Paul Alexander, yes, coming into view there. Unfortunately, Paul's reckons that he might have cracked a head here or even a piston, but he goes, look, I'm just going to go, we're going to send it until it's gone and hope for the best. Mark, this guy's all year, every round this guy's turning up, again, going right out to the edge zone. He's been turning up every round, pushing himself to the next limit, next limit, next limit. He there, always walking up to the judges and everyone else around him saying, what do you think, what can I change? And the proof is coming out. He's asked, and he's starting to deliver some good lead runs.
Some great pace in the lead there. You know, like you're saying, Paul Alexander having a few issues, but that is still a very fast lead run. Yes, there was issues in straightening, but this is Pro-Am, and this is exactly the sort of drive we want to see. Drivers pushing for speed, pushing to use the legs and power that they've got in these high-powered vehicles. Still in Pro-Am, you know, there are some pretty hot tickets in there. So 3 to 6, I feel, you know, both in Pro and Pro-Am is really allowing these drivers to stretch their legs out, push a little bit harder than they need to. And I think as we get to the pointy end of the battles, that's where we're really going to see some tight battling.
100%. You know, we were out there yesterday. One of the judges, Dan Kennelly, was talking to the Pro-Am guys and saying, look, guys, you just want to know what speed you need to do. Throw yourselves in the deep end in practice. And these boys, they were chasing down the pro guys, and they were going, right, this is how fast we need to go. And coming after that, seeing the battle trees and everything, you know, you can really see who was putting in the hard yards to make sure that they could get the speed through this track. Again, all three judges out there have been exceptional with the drivers this weekend. Dan Mackey being the head judge. He was giving a lot of feedback to all the boys, and it was good to be here yesterday. Most of the guys were asking questions, and this is what the Pro-Am guys need to learn. They've been doing it all weekend, doing all the fussing and turning. You know, there has not been one car here that has gone pretty much perfect all weekend, and everyone's had to make plenty of adjustments. So just running through the pits here, taking a good look. Back into the battles now. We got Philip Silk in the lead, and in the chase, another one of the Running Hearts cars.
Yeah, they are good looking as well, aren't
yes.
they? I love that signature metallic paint, the big vinyls up the door. What a tight chase!
Wow, that is
that.
a chase. We'll just get some names up here for you. But yeah, Philip Silk, again, another one of the Hogsbreath teams setting a good lead line, going absolutely sensational there. But that chase run, he really come in. That's what the leader was wanting. He opened the door, made himself vulnerable, and as a chase driver, he's seen it and he's put himself right on there. Even in turn one, as we can see again, A little bit of Phil Silk has left the door open just a little bit, but again, here's what the judges have wanted, and they've chased that whole line. Again, sending it deep into the outer clip zone from Phil Silk, right through. Again, initiating exactly where they want him to, staying mid-line again, all the way. So, again, Phil Silk will be heavily awarded here, fingers crossed, by the judges for setting up that sensational lead run.
I don't know. I reckon that advantage can go either way. That was such a tight chase as well, and we're going to see that as it flips around.
Perfect. So as we can see, the sunshine is out here and shining. Everyone is having a great time. Look, not much going on in the battles as far as it is. Everyone's just getting out there, making it happen. So now we're going in for the second battle now with Paul Alexander in the lead against Mark Materian. Paul setting an absolute deep entry into that turn there, filling out that whole clip zone, upped into the switch reference point. He's then gone right deep into the second clipping zone, filling that out again. Mark's finally got some pace up behind him. He's closing that gap. And we have a spin there by Paul. Has he missed him? Mark coming out of the smoke, right through, hand in the air, fist pumps, knowing that he's taken the win. Unfortunate there for Paul, sending it a little bit too hard in that last turn. So let's go back. Big entry yet again from Paul. This is what the judges want. They're coming in third, fourth. They wanted 140 Ks out of these boys, and I'm pretty sure they're getting it. Sending it right to the outer clipping zone. Mark, a little bit slow off the chase there in the start. Paul, if he had held it together, I think he would have ended with great lead battle there. Unfortunately, this is where it looks like it's gone wrong. Just throwing it in a little bit too hard there into the last turn. Mark staying nice and deep into that turn and keeping it red. Well done, Mark. Hand in the air all the way down to the lead straight. Okay, we have the second battle again. Running Hearts lead R32 in the lead. Coming through with Phil Silk in the chase. Setting up, Phil absolutely setting it deep into that outer zone. A little bit too much angles washed off. Way too much speed there, unfortunately, but he's gathered back out with that big V8 again, chasing that 32 down. Both of them filling out that outer clipping zone all the way down to the main straight yet again. Okay, big entry there, right on the line there. That's what the judges are looking for, sending it all the way deep. They wanted a little bit more, as the judge was saying, there's a little bit of concrete in the extension there. They wanted them right out and to hold that extension out as far as they could. Unfortunately, both cars not making it into that extension. But again, we are working with the Pro-Am guys. So again, we got Phil Silk in the chase, sitting right in that pillar zone. Not as close as he wants, but yes.
And Jack Gibbons out in the lead there in that Running Hearts R32. Man, what a good-looking car. And apologies if we're a bit all over the place up in the booth up here. We are struggling with getting a list of results. So doing the best we can, but by all means, tell us we're doing a rubbish job on the live stream. You're more than welcome to. We're up here having fun and keen to see these battles get together. To see such tight driving in the top 24, I think, especially in the Pro-Am, a lot of these drivers seem keen to step up. Looks like that clipping point may have copped a bit more of a clip than it was expecting.
Okay, thank you, Ash Brown. Thanks. We've just got the live feed up now. So, yeah, Ash Brown, thank you very much for letting us know that was Jack Gibbons. I know that you and the boys started that together, and it's well done. So, but yeah, you guys out there, you know, get on the socials, get on the live stream. Let us know what's happening out there. We can make it happen. We'll talk to you. Ask us questions. Tell us what the feedback is. We're all here to listen. You know, without the sport and you guys out there watching with us, that's what we want to hear. But yeah, so unfortunately, a few of the guys over the weekend, we got Michael Corner. Unfortunately, blew up his car yesterday just in the last of the practice. Come back in and said, look, I'm making a bit of a noise. Pulls out his dipstick, and it looks like a fairy's just gone around there and left all its glitter dust. So he's definitely made the choice to pull out. But yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is. Okay, we got Odgers here in the lead. Another Queensland local boy. Believe he's just got back from Japan. Setting up a great lead run there, sitting all the way out to that clipping zone through the switch reference point, exactly where the judges want him to be. Not so deep, the chase line there, sending it a little bit more into the judge line. Again, sending it all the way out to the outer clipping zone, Tyson Odgers all the way. Odgers again. Beautiful replay there from all our crew down there on the team. Okay, now back to another live battle with Gricey in the lead. This guy's been sensational all weekend. He's been putting in the hard yards. Big entry there from Matthew Grice. Absolutely setting to the outer clipping zone. A little bit shallow coming on the outside, but again, setting himself up for the switch reference point. He switched right back into this. As you can see there from that camera angle, you can see the drop that these guys are having to deal with. Again, not getting his nose all the way over there, but again, still setting up into a clipping point. Here he is, he's clicked another gear and he's going for it with that big turbo LS under there. Beautiful chase run happening as well. Okay, we have Daniel Mesmer in the lead here and Colm Keogh in the chase run. So these are two totally different setup cars. Colm has been working on this car for about 2 years now. Totally set up, absolutely amazing. This car is beautiful inside and out. Daniel Mesmer in the off-season, as we know, totally set his car up, got rid of all the weight out of his can in that little SR20 that could. Okay, here we go, right on the entry point that the judges are looking for. Daniel Mesmer again, always sending big, deep entries. Colm sending it right out to that clipping zone again, but giving himself up there, not getting on the door, which the judges were looking for. We want better chase runs than that. We've got Daniel Mesmer hitting that front clipping zone again. Colm finally finding that speed again, getting right up into that back zone again. A little bit too deep into there, but again, did find some form and come back into that end of the line. But what a sensational lead run by Daniel Mesmer. Mesmer coming in again, big entry as we can see on the replay here by Famous Insurance. Setting it all the way out, holding a nice line, as we can see, nice and steady right through. Didn't change his line, just stayed into it all the way through. Again, sending it right out to that outer clipping zone, all the way through the front, right into that inner clipping zone again. As we can see, this clipping zone is right in the middle of the track. Daniel staying right in the middle there, right on the judge line and sending it right home, right up to the straight. So I've just seen there that we've got Daniel Mesmer's car. He actually got it down to 960 kilos in that little S13.
Jeez, that's light, man.
Especially with a little SR.
Woo!
Okay, back into the lead run again. Hey, there we go. We've got the feedback, guys. Sorry about that. So we've got Christopher Sadler there was in the lead. Sorry about that for the delay there, guys. We're just working with a few little technical issues, but we'll get it sorted, hopefully, for everyone on the live stream there.
And I guess we'd rather us have issues than the drivers have issues, right? And it seems to be that this Commodore Ute out in front is torching it for Australia, where Odgers in the back there in that little S13 that could, tucking in, getting in on that door there as we head to the famous replay. Coming around turn 6, their car's nicely separated, and if that's the sort of distance we can expect in the top 24 of Pro-Am, how tight's this driving going to get? I'm sure many of you at home would have seen the classic photos that come out of pretty much every event here of car on car on car coming through turn 6. There's a reason for that. You can see as we go through this layout that each transition gives that chase driver an opportunity to tuck in and really show the lead driver, give him a knock on the door and go, hey, mate, looking for a bit more speed out of you here. Gricey looks like he's keen on that chase with a beautiful blue S15 out in front, getting on the power and cooking through the end of turn 6 there.
Absolutely sending it there for the judges for that finishing line. We've got everyone on the pit wall there with their hands in the air. Absolutely loving these guys, sending it deep into that outer clipping zone in the last turn. Okay, for that lead run there, he's come right through that switch reference point again. Again, Gricey switching, exactly emulating that lead run. He's right on up there in that inner clipping zone as well, emulating that full chase run again. Again, these boys absolutely putting the pedal to the metal here. They said, we're not going to lift. They have not lifted that whole run. Okay, back into Colm Keogh and Daniel Mesmer. Colm now taking the lead.
Switching the two around. It's going to be interesting to see the battle of these S chassis. I know you were saying Mesmer's got the SR under the bonnet. What's under the bonnet of Colm's?
Now, that is 1J under there. Woo! Now, he's fresh out of South Oz last weekend. Again, he's gone back-to-back weekends in this car. He's had absolutely ultimate seat time. Now, yesterday I was talking to him, 3-5 gear ratio in the back of that thing.
Perfect. Man, you'd be surprised. If you've got a bit of power, a taller gear ratio here helps so much through 3 to 6. Like, in my car, I went from 408 down to a 353. Made a massive difference being able to, when you come back through here, go back down to second through some of that midsection stuff and still have the legs you need to work, and then be able to snap that third instead of having to jam it into fourth, coming into sixth, and try reclutch and get it on.
He's been staying in third the whole weekend. Yesterday in the afternoon, clicked fourth coming onto the straight. Absolutely fried the tyres.
Bushfire, yeah.
So we'll see how he's going. Setting up a really good lead run here. Again, bit early on that switch. The judges will be looking at that, but way too shallow in that corner. Clearly closing the door on Mesmer, making it really hard for the chase driver there, unfortunately, there for Colm. Again, here you're setting yourself up nice and deep into that there. A little bit shallow again. Pulls it, probably not enough power or legs to pull him right out to that outer clipping zone. Again, just sort of leaving the door wide open there for Daniel Mesmer, and he's not one that you want to leave the door open on.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see these two cars a bit closer. You know, they were nice through that first section, but as they both took different lines here, and Colm kind of went off the judge line while Mesmer went wide, that's what separated the two cars there, with Mesmer trying to follow that judge line as closely as he could. But seeing both of those cars react to power and transitions and that sort of stuff, they both look really well gripped up. And as you were saying, Mesmer's car is very light. So I love seeing similar setup cars like that go head-to-head, because then it's all down to the driver.
100%. Now, we've got Brendan Bogger O'Grady. Now, this guy fresh out of Thailand. I don't know if anyone else out there watched it. Now, these boys have absolutely been giving him absolute hell in the garage, putting on their best accents for Brendan. I think they're calling him the Thunder from Down Under, and they're like, no, that can't. So now they're calling him Bogger the Aussie. So they are yelling that out all the way through the pits. As soon as we see Bogger, these boys have to give him hell. He finished second in the Group B last weekend.
Hey.
And they're getting on a plane and getting straight off the plane, sorting out his personal car, jumping in the car, sending it all the way up here. Yesterday afternoon, he ended up getting the wild card to jump into pro. So it goes over to Mo Hooley and says, mate, show me how it's done. These guys are battling. Little bit of a mistake happened by Brendan in the lead run, and Mo absolutely hitting his wheel and destroying one of his coilovers.
Sounds like carnage. We're going to head down to J-Mac in the pits.
Funny that you're talking about Bogger O'Grady. This man, Angus Kidd, running in pro, we would have actually just seen Bogger out there for Pro-Am. But Angus Kidd is about to go out and battle Bogger. Bogger doubling up, running pro and Pro-Am, courtesy of his wild card. Now, let's get back to Angus Kidd. He didn't exactly have a clean day yesterday. Fuel pump failure means that they have swapped in a pair of second-hand pumps. This thing is back on song. It's got good fuel pressure, back around 40 pound at idle. It has everything it needs. The nitrous system is running well to get that turbo spooling hard. And Angus, well, he has just been looking resplendent with his shirt off all day long yesterday and today in this beautiful Queensland weather. We can't wait to see him, hopefully, with a victory under his belt. Let's see how he goes in this win, and hopefully his eyes up against Bogger coming up soon.
Angus putting in the hard yards this weekend. Now, this guy here has been walking through the pits, and his number one saying this weekend is, I'm taking the win. He has been saying it all weekend. He's here with vengeance. He thinks he's got it. And that comes down to these drivers. If they're telling themselves they're going to take the win, he wants to take it.
I love the enthusiasm, and if there's a track that's designed for the big soups, it is this one. Anyway, here we've got Jason Hayden in the chase there behind the big JZX100.
Brendan Bogger O'Grady!
Oh,
he has been sending it all weekend. He's been making so much smoke. He's been really hard on himself at the same time too. He's had to deal with coming from two different setups into a different car, from a really lightweight car back into the JZ, and he's just like, look, I've really got to work on myself, and this is what he's been doing all weekend. And again, fixing the lower control arm to get back out there. Again, look at these entries. This guy has full confidence in his car. Seeing it full out to the outer clipping zone again. Leaving the door wide open for Jason, unfortunately not coming up to come into the battle, unfortunately, there.
Yeah, not sure what was going on with that one. He seemed to be in and shallow behind Bogger, looking to tuck in, but then just didn't quite get back on the power. Maybe struggling with rear grip in that car a little bit, because it seems like he'll get it out there and then let it straighten again. And I don't know if it's necessarily a power thing, but who knows? We can't look into our crystal ball and see what these drivers are struggling with.
Exactly.
Someone who's not struggling is Gricey with that big entry there. Loving it.
Second time he's thrown in a big entry again. In his chase run, he was still on a big entry yet again. Filling out that outer clipping zone, Gricey, he's been family affair out there, having his wife, calling it, doing tyres, everything. Those guys there, they're a family of fun, and they are just absolutely making sure that Gricey has everything dialed in this weekend.
Yeah, you got to have a team behind you even to just make it up here and get the car ready to go, let alone, you know, getting through full round of battles and maybe some urgent repairs. So shout out to everyone down in the pits who's got their hands dirty this weekend and is helping fuel the show that we're seeing. Without you guys, it wouldn't happen.
There's been plenty of pit work all weekend. These guys putting in the hard yards. Again, this track, a bit like the figure 8 in Sydney, you know, if there's any chance that it's going to hurt your car, it's taken its chance and it's going to have a crack at you.
Oh, yeah. And I can see where you're coming from there. Like, obviously, this one's a lot bigger and faster, but both tracks you get very little airflow through the radiator and under the bonnet. And, you know, figure 8, it is quite tempting to just go lap after lap after lap, whereas here, even just running that same section back-to-back in a battle, and I think if we see some one more times,
that would be
that's
great.
when, you know, a lot of these cars are going to start to cook, and it's going to be a battle of more so of mechanical durability than it is of driving style.
And it's going to come down to the guys that want to look after their car and their tyre wear, because if you're having to do that, you know, this track is so harsh on the tyres that you've got to think about that if it goes to the one more time. So we'll have Adam Burgess here in the lead against Dane Wilkinson. Dane running his own loco garage there. These boys, that car is beautiful to see in real life. Again, Adam Burgess, another garage from Sydney, from the Advent Performance team, driving with the Spilt Coffee Drift Club. Now, he's been dialing in that car all weekend. He's been sending it right out to the outer clip zone with that big boat. Absolutely sailing HMAS around.
It's good to see some big Aussie sedans out there. You know, these things do have a lot of power, and there's plenty of suspension tuning available for them if you're so inclined. So I'm almost surprised that we don't see more getting around, you know, the higher tiers of Australian drifting, and it's great to see Adam Burgess sticking it to a traditional S13 in Pro-Am, not taking favourites though, because that is one beautiful car in the chase there that has a chance to switch positions and see what he can do in the lead.
Dane running those RB setups, you know, he's put a lot of engine work into that car. He's out here pretty much most weekends dialing in this car with his Kudos team in the Loco Garage, and they've come up here with a full package, and he's put down a pretty good chase run.
Very measured clutch technique by the sound of it as well. Just those little dips, the whoa, like not a big kick, which is what you need to keep the box in some of these things with big rear grip.
Again, so going back to what I believe is McMenaway in the lead now against Gricey.
Yeah, Gricey in the chase there with that big turbo LS VK Commodore. Yeah, mate, Aussie sedan out here, sticking it to the door
That
of that
S15
S15.
sing onto that line there. Absolutely pushing that outer clipping zone. Must be a little bit of a weird entry there. Looked like he sort of initiated then straightened back up.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we can say from up here in the commentator's box is stop grabbing that handbrake. A lot of these people on the handbrake entries there, and it does stuff you up, because if you try and rely on it to come out rather than actually using a weight transfer, you can see exactly what happened to that S15. As you come in, rather than both wheels locking, one locks up, one doesn't. What do I do with it? And then you got to flick it in. Whereas if you weight transfer the car hard enough that it's already going out into a drift, you're only using handbrake or foot brake or accelerator to alter line and to get through that corner rather than relying on it to initiate.
So just being corrected there by Alex Huntley, it was Thomas McMenaway in the blue S15. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so back into Dane now with the lead chase. Looked like he's trying to grab a few gears there to get some speed up there.
Adam Burgess, that big Barra BA Falcon, just getting keen.
Dane sending it right out to the outer clip zone, exactly what the judges wanted. They wanted him to stay a little bit more into the outer zone. He's filled it all the way through to the end. Another straight to that switchback. Big, absolutely on the throttle there.
Look at the rear grip of that S13. It was rocketing towards the track edge, and then as soon as that right foot went down, boom, back online, in through the track. But Adam Burgess managing to reel him in through turn 6. I think we're going to see a few of those battles, Jake, where, you know, in the earlier part of that battle, sure, you know, that S13 of Dane Wilkinson, seemed to have the advantage there in terms of speed. But as they got through the course, you know, Adam Burgess just maybe misjudging that transition there and braking a little bit hard. But you can see that this Falcon reeling Dane back in throughout there. And as they get on the power through turn 6, Adam Burgess just all over that beautiful red Kudos Motorsport S13.
In the driver walk yesterday, a lot of the drivers were saying with this last turn being so flowy and everything like that, what were they looking for? And just Dane just did exactly what the judge asked for. They said, we want you to see one motion for that final turn. Dane come into that last end, hit that middle clipping zone, and he did not adjust his steering wheel or throttle. He stayed right up at the whole way through. That car was settled all the way through to that main straight. Judges are going to be looking for stuff like that.
And it's a good corner for that, because it's such a long sweeping corner that wherever you transition and switch back into turn 6, then also changes where you're going to end up on line throughout the rest of turn 6. So if you really know what you're doing and where you're putting the car out there, as you're transitioning back, you're really setting it up to then just be on the power, steer a little bit with the throttle, but it will flow itself as that corner opens. Maybe grab a gear in the middle, depending on what your gearing's like, and through you go.
Back to the pro battles now. We've got Bo the Show Yates against Danny Probert. Oh, a bit of a mistake there from Bo Yates, which is rare to see. Looks like the car gripped up way too much there, which then Danny Probert got a little bit backed off the throttle there, sending it right out. Unfortunately there for Bo, we're not going to see what the judges can't really hear what they're saying about that. But I think heavily deduction. What would you call that there? Coming into the first turn and an absolute straight. We'll go back to the replay here.
Here it comes here. So doing that little bit of a counter steer and a flick and an entry. There's the dab of the handbrake there, but I think he just ended up that touch shallow. I wouldn't say missed a gear, considering it is a sequential gearbox, so pretty hard to do that there. But maybe just not getting it back on the throttle in the way that he would have expected. It's really uncharacteristic for Bo. So it could have been something as stupid as just missing the pedal. You know, it does happen.
100%. You know, like these guys, they're not robots.
Yeah. It's definitely a hard one there, but you're right. Looking at that in the replay as well, it did send Danny Probert off. He was reacting to what the lead car was in front. We'll watch again. You know, Bo right on line here. Danny tucking in, going to that outside, and he's ready to rock it in and get to Bo. I'd question whether Danny would be able to reel that back if Bo had continued with what he was doing, because he was coming in with considerably more speed, and I'd wager that not many cars in this series have more rear grip than Bo Yates' car. So coming into that corner, Danny may have been a touch hot, but it doesn't excuse Bo straightening in front of him. So that really gives the judges quite a lot to work out there, because the run itself had started. We'd seen the cars come together, they'd entered. Here's a bit of a wider angle for it that'll give you a better idea. So Danny, you can see, is rocketing in from behind, looking to make up that gap and get on the power. Now, his handbrake there, maybe foot brake to dab on a bit more angle, but...
How did he not flip that car then? That thing gripped in, wow, sensational into that sandpit there.
It did, and, you know, looking at it there, it's really a flip of a coin, and not having driven that car and not knowing what the rear grip's like, you know, he may have been able to get back on the power and tuck that in behind Bo, but I reckon that's kind of a combination of errors there. That yes, as the lead driver, Bo should have been setting a good line, and like you were saying before, in the driver's briefing, they're saying that as this is quite a flowy layout, it is the lead car's responsibility to set up the chase car with some nice driving.
100%.
So that could have a big deduction there. But before we find out, let's head to J-Mac in the pits with Brad Toohey.
Brad, it was a bit tough. I mean, last year you were the round champion, you're defending round champion coming into this one. You qualified all right. The car was going great, but your day's done.
Yeah, it is. Look, you know, you can't win them all. Definitely done. Levi deserved to win it. I just made an unforgivable mistake in my lead run, like lead to lead. So congratulations to him. But, yeah, we'll keep on plugging away.
Well, Brad Toohey might be finished here, but the action's still happening in the pits with a full-scale replica. Back to you guys while it continues out on track.
Mo Elhouli in the lead here. This guy is pedal to the max. In the chase run, Mitch Lana.
Second Hog's Breath car for the weekend after the Dan Keneally Hog's Breath Ute seemed to give up the ghost a little bit, just having I think it was a ring issue or something, in engine internal
Not
issue.
too sure exactly what went down there. You know, these guys, they're all trying their heart out.
Oh, look
We got
at that.
some
A
RC
mini
action there.
version of Brad Tui's 8.6 there, flicking around in the pits. That's pretty cool.
He's actually, is that drifting in front of the actual 86 car there?
Oh, yeah, it is. Around a couple of the tyres. And there's the other
There it is.
Hog's Breath car there in the background having issues. But back to what we were saying before, Mitch Lana has a huge reputation over on the West Coast and has been driving for quite some time.
100%.
Coming over here, not getting a whole lot of laps in at QR. Going up against Mo El Hooley, has a big reputation on the East Coast and coming all the way out from Victoria. So both these drivers have travelled quite some way to drive on a relatively unfamiliar track. And I know that both of them have targets on the backs of a lot of our other drivers in the series. So this is actually really crucial, seeing both Mo and Lana go up against each other in the top 16, because only one of them is then going to be able to fly the flag in the top 8 and the top 4. I don't know if I'd call Mo El Hooley an underdog, because he has been dishing out some results throughout this series.
100%.
But, Mitch Lana especially, dipping his toe into this series, it's all on the line for him to come over here and come home with a strong result.
Mitch Lana coming out there this morning calling Bo Yates out, saying that I'm confused. So he wants to stamp himself in this thing.
Speaking of, there we have the reversal of these battles, and I think the live stream was mirroring the comments that I was making before, that regardless of Bo Yates' mistake in the front, Danny Probert's entry speed was likely to send him off, and we've seen that as the positions were switched. He was in the lead, he's ended up deep and put those back wheels off, whereas Bo is right behind him. Question is, Jake, when the judges look at that, how are they going to balance those two up?
It's a hard thing to call, because if you look at the way Danny Probert comes back in, okay, he's done a wheel drop, but look at the rest of his run. He set himself back up, kept composed, put in a good run, but again, look, what do you do? These judges, they've got to put in both runs into consideration. That's two wheel drops again, so I'm pretty sure you're about to say two wheel drops.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, having not one but two wheels off on the outside of the corner is a huge points deduction. And then you combine that with the fact that as much as there was a mistake from Bo in front, he did go all four wheels off previously. Now, that happened after the mistake from Bo, so it's up to the judges how much leniency they want to give there, if they're going to put all of that on Bo, or if there's going to be a split of the blame. But with those positions switched, I think it was going to be an uphill battle for Danny, and unfortunately, those two wheels off there have sent him home for the weekend, while Bo progresses through to the top 8. And Bo will be facing off against either Mo El Hooley or Mitch Lana as a result of this battle.
Again, Mitch Lana in the lead right now. He's driving Mitchell Sutton's car. Thanks to Mitchell Sutton for lending him this car after fuel issues is what caused them to pull out Dan Keneally's car.
There you go.
Thank you very much for that, Alex. Really appreciate you there, right in the mix there with the Drift Pirates and the Hog's Breath team.
Moe all over that door.
Shuckers out the window by Mitch Lana and Moe. These boys sending it for the crowd.
Too much hands out the window, not enough hands on the wheel, unfortunately, there for Mitch Lana. Over-rotating through that corner. I think he was eyeballing Moe and just being like, bro, do not worry, come up on my door.
Moe was there. Look at this initiation by Moe in the chase. Absolutely sending it, putting himself in that judge line against Mitch Lana. Mitch Lana setting an absolute killer lead run there on all the judge lines, not making any corrections at all.
I was about to make the comment and mirroring what's on the live stream that, you know, having probably the lower power car in the series, Mitch Lana did have an uphill battle here up against some of these big dogs. But, you know, up until that spin point, I was going to say that, you know, it's pretty equally separated maybe between the first and the second run, with Mo getting a slight advantage. Well, but that spin in front gives Mo the win, I'd imagine.
I can't go one better on that. He does not have the lowest horsepower car because John Dreyer is actually lower than Mitchell Sutton's car.
Really? That's like 350, 360 kilowatt SR. What's Mitch's making?
Mitch is just over 400 apparently.
You can't call a 400 kilowatt car low power. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so we won't make any excuses for him. That may have just been getting a bit lost with track position while he's looking at the chase car. Okay. So we will have our top 16 battle tree here, and we've already got our first battle of the top 8 locked in. Bo Yates up against Mo El Hooley. We'll have Aaron Dewar going against John Dreyer, and now that is a power difference I'm interested to see. Josh Botcher up against James Abbott, Mitch Doyle and Levi Clark there. Jordan Graham and Scott Shembry is one I'm going to have my eye on. I think that's going to be very interesting. Senna Tunney up against Matt Van Kirk.
That'll be a great battle to watch.
From the US of A and Formula Drift. And, of course, Bogger that we were talking about before, getting his wildcard entry up against Angus Kidd, the guy who's probably visualised that top step of the podium the most out of any of our other drivers.
100%.
He's been talking first ever since round 2, just ready. He's like, this is my day. and I'm keen to see that big soup sing.
Okay, so now we've got Senatani leading Matt Van Kirk all the way over from the US. Senatani got his car back together. This family, they've been putting it all on the line this weekend to get Senna out here. Seeing him with a massive entry all the way out to that clipping zone. Look at the smoke coming off this car.
And sorry, is that Matt Van Kirk in Paul Alexander's car
That's correct.
that we previously mentioned had a cracked head and is, I think, somewhere in the 600 to 800 horsepower region blown LS?
Yes, that's correct. Usually this thing is pouring out smoke just as much as Senatani, looking like it's a bit underpowered, but look at Matt Van Kirk sticking it right to Senatani's door there all the way through.
Man, huge shout out to Paul Alexander, not only driving through an injured car, but lending it to an international week. Either going to see some spectacular driving or a spectacular blow up out of that running Hearts S13, but I shouldn't spend so much time talking on that because Senatani blazing in that lead position there. What a lead run for that yellow R33. Quickly down to J-Mac with Danny Probert.
Going down to Bo Yates. If you're going to go down to someone, it might as well be the champ at the moment. Mate, what's going through your head?
Oh, look, we're really happy. We've taken a lot of data from the weekend, so we've made good steps forward. Unfortunately, this morning we had a really good run yesterday. I think we put 16 tyres through the car, and no problems at all. And then today we've come to a car with a bit of a misfire. We couldn't quite get on top of that. So, look, at the end of the day, we're happy with our progress. Unfortunately, we haven't qualified high enough, so again we're straight back into the top contenders.
Yeah, we're going to have to cut it because we have action happening on track here at round 3.
Aaron Duarte in the lead. Look at this guy. This is the battle we're talking about. This is the pure horsepower underdog of John Dreyer against one of the biggest horsepower in the class.
There's a bit of contention on the live stream. Is it just under, just over 300 kilowatt? Either way, that little Bluebird sings, but not as much as that big naturally aspirated Duarte Performance Engines V8. And I can hear it all the way from the commentary box here. It is a wild machine, and one that I'm sure it sounds good on the live stream, but you have to experience it in person if you haven't.
This thing, I think, talking to him, revving out to 9,800 RPM, and he loves putting it up to that 9,800 RPM. This thing is singing all the way through. Aaron's put in big laps yesterday, changing another tyre setup, going on to the good rides now. Absolutely trying his heart out there. Look at these things, smoking all the way through the line. Unfortunately, John Dre getting lost in the smoke there.
It looked like Aaron Duarte was just trying to find his comfort there as well, having a few corrections through turn 6. So, he could be getting marked down for the judges there as well. Yes, earlier on in the run, John Dre did seem to get a bit lost, and I think he went deep, not sure on a wheel drop, but he did manage to reel in through the rest of that course on the back there of Aaron Duarte. So it will come down to that second battle.
Matt Van Kirk, Senatani. Now, this is a good little battle here because Senatani actually drove Paul Alexander's car, which Matt Van Kirk is driving, so he knows how that car handles and where the power is. Sort of a little bit of advantage, not too sure, but Matt Van Kirk putting down absolute killer lead run there, switching right in front of the judges there, what they're looking for, sending it right into that middle clipping zone. Looking like Senatani, they're actually bettering the line. But unfortunately, yesterday I was talking to the judges. They are saying that what they want is the chase driver to chase the lead line. They will say that they will commend it.
I think we'll get a better view of it at the replay here, but it looks like Paul Alexander's car is just that little bit more gripped up as well, whereas Senna, when he gets on the power, sure, it makes a whole lot of smoke, but it doesn't seem to increase the road speed. We'll see here as they switch back together. Matt Van Kirk on the power here, Senatani back on it, but you can see Paul Alexander's car there. It had the grip in the drive. It did straighten up a little bit, whereas Senatani going to that outside line, but as soon as he was on that power, it gained like another 10, 15 degrees of angle and then was just pushing against those front wheels and blazing. So maybe, a bit more grip in the back of that car if Senatani does go through. It might help him out in those battles, but I wouldn't say it's decided just yet, and we'll wait for the judge's call.
Now, we've just heard from Mitchell Sutton, the owner of the car that Lana is driving, and it is actually only 330 kilowatts. Now, sorry about the confusion there, guys, but now it's been confirmed.
I'd say the variance we're getting on the live stream is about the same as the variance you get on the same car between different dynos, 100%. Maybe we'll just turn we'll unstrap it, turn the tractive effort down, change the outside temperature up to 50 degrees. Thing will crack 600 kilowatt, no worries, bro.
Oh, John Dre putting on a little bit too much angle there. Aaron Duarte was all over him, trying to emulate exactly, but look, how do you call it like that? What happens there, He did miss him, didn't touch him. I couldn't really tell from where we're sitting, but it did look like that it was John Dre's fault there. causing him to hit him.
We'll see. It's a hard one because you can come to pretty much a complete stop as long as you're on the judged line. It is the chase car's responsibility to act accordingly. So here we go. We come around now. Nice entry there from John. Nice and wide. And you can see Juar getting keen to tuck in. He loves a good transition tuck. So here we go. Drea switching back hard there.
Both of them
but then
switching
almost
together.
Spinning. Juar avoiding contact there or maybe lightly kissing the bar there. Let's head down to J-Mac in the pits.
Here with Mo O'Hooley and Mitch Lana. Mitch, unfortunately, going out to the man on my left. What are your parting words here for the High-Tech Oils Drift Series?
I just want to say thanks to George and everybody here, especially Mo. You know, as I said to you earlier today, I had no expectations coming. I just come to have fun, put on a show for the crowd. It was awesome to meet up with all the pro guys. As you guys saw, we had car dramas. Didn't get much laps in this, and to be honest, like I said, we had to run the tyres at 40 pound to save the driveline. And you can see Mo's car's on rails. He's flying. As far as there's not fire coming off the back of it, he's on rails. And yeah, I put out the best show I could. Put on the best lead for him. Had my arm out the window. I was laughing the whole time. That's what I'm here for. So
you did a fantastic job, Mo. You've dispatched the young WA driver. Who's next in your sights, and how are you feeling so far?
As I told you earlier on, that Barry Yates was my hunt, and I've got him next, and he's going down. There's no other question to it.
Bo Yates, he was saying he was a bit hot and bothered. How are you feeling in the car out there for a bit of time?
Doesn't faze me, man. I'm going for it, and that's it. His door is mine.
Stone cold killer. I like it. Back to you guys.
Moe, mate, the attitude just gets me every time. I love it. You know, nicest guy down in the pits, but as soon as there's battles to be had and there's a camera on, just keen as a bean and ready to door anyone who challenges him. I mean, it's so sad to see Mitch Lana out in the top 16. He was eager there to battle, but it's the attitude that he had towards us. You know, coming here, no expectations, looking for fun. I feel anyone who takes drifting too seriously is in for a lot of disappointment, whereas if you have fun, the wins are good, the losses hurt a little bit, but you're still out there and enjoying yourself. Speaking about enjoying himself, Josh Botcher seems to be on that power at a track where that big nitrous JZ, big turbo thing of that S15 can really stretch his legs there now. And Josh Botcher, man, he was talking multiple times about having to take grip out of that car. It looks like he's put it back in. I've never seen a car change direction so quickly in that midfield. While James Abbott behind him looks like he's gone a little bit deep trying to chase close. Straightened up looking to rocket in again, but there's no way you're catching the grip of Josh Botcher there. Look at this midfield bit. Well, we might have lost him a bit in the smoke there, but man, it changed direction so quickly.
That car is absolutely sounding amazing too. We just got him going.
Here's one in the pits though, Jordan Graham, man, a driver that I've had a lot of respect for ever since I ran into him over at Ebisu in like 2013, 2012. Super nice dude, just hanging around in the pits going, oh yeah, man. I was talking to a mate of ours about suspension setup, quickly went out into 180, doored everyone else there in this stock car and goes, yeah, man, car feels fine to me anyway, enjoy the rest of your week.
How good
Cruised
is that?
off, you know. It's good to see some veterans up here. He's up with Christian Pickering as well, who I had a quick chat to in the pits. Cool to see these boys out here flying the flag from interstate and looking for some upsets. Speaking of someone shooting for an upset, though, Angus Kidd all over the back of Brendan O'Grady. If that car had a rear bumper, it wouldn't be there anymore.
100%.
Very nice chase.
100%. Look at him setting it up. Oh, unfortunately, a bit of a straighten there by Angus. Probably getting lost in the smoke there. Brendan's first time running these semi-slicks on this track yesterday, got one lap in, and that was it against Mo O'Hooley, so well done to him.
Looks like Angus there just not quite getting the power down in those mid sections you need. Aggressive on the entry here, and we'll walk you through that replay. Going shallow, trying to tuck in on Brendan O'Grady there. That might hurt him in the eye of the judges, but it's here on the transition where getting lost in the smoke and off the power. Angus is just straightened slightly, out to the track edge beautifully and back on it again. But I think it's just one of those things where you get into your own head about a mistake earlier on, and then that influences the rest of the run. You know, Angus is so eager to get this result out here. Hopefully he can calm down, turn it around, and put on an aggressive lead run there.
Exactly. So we just throw out to everyone there on the live feed. We see his chat, and we've got a few international people there. Ashley Smith tuning all the way from California while I was over there, met up with them. They were great in helping us with the stuff that we were dealing with over there. But, you know, we see us on live feed. Ask us questions. Let us happen. Throw some banter out there. We can get it to the drivers, and they'd love to hear from you. Alrighty, back into a battle now with Jabbit in the lead there against Josh. We've got big entry there by Jabbett. Absolutely massive. Josh putting it right into the door, straight onto the power there, filling the outer clipping zone. Jabbett sending a great lead line straight through the switchback, all the way through down into this outer clipping zone yet again. Both cars all the way, rear bumpers off the track, right up in. How did he come through the smoke there, Josh? Right, pushing him through the last turn, absolutely on the door. This is great battles here. These guys are not scared of each other.
Both very fast on entry there, and it's cool to see that speed coming right up as we head into the pro battles. Botcher left behind a little bit there, but I think he's giving himself breathing room to then real jabs in throughout the rest of the course. Seems to have superior speed, that S15 behind the high-tech oils S15 of James Abbott. Botcher tucked right in there on the rear quarter, but not only does he have the proximity, he's also bettering James Abbott's line by heading wider there on the corner. I mean, that seems to be quite an obvious advantage there, but we will wait for the judges to confirm.
So they're all talking about in that turn one there, there's that cement line right out through. They wanted the chase and the lead car to fill that whole cement zone, and Josh was the one that asked that question.
Yeah,
so
it looks like that question's paid off for him, and there's the confirmation from the judges. Botcher through to the top 8. Huge result there. Got to be stoked with that, coming all the way up from Victoria, a car that's very familiar in the Vic Drift series. Anyway, this is now Angus Kidd's turn to lead, and you can see he is a bit annoyed with himself from previously, so he's on the power now and cooking, while Brendan O'Grady's doing everything he can to reel back in that big soups. 1JZ versus 2JZ. Oh, I hate how American I've become by hearing them talk about that JZ over there.
They love
but
JZs.
Anyway, Angus Kidd slaying it in that lead. Will it be enough to overcome his previous result, though?
Thank you very much for that. So again on the replay, Angus Kidd absolutely annihilating those tyres on that car. Not as deep as what the judges would like, but we see him pushing out right out to the outer clipping zone again through the next section, getting that front right over that front clipping zone, setting it himself up into the middle of the track, nice and deep. Brendan just sort of not on the door that the judges would really like.
It's interesting, though, how much Brendan O'Grady was kind of able to reel back in through that midsection there. You know, it's going to be a hard one to call, and one that, you know, following the result from the judges, I think either driver, if they get through, is just going to have a couple of things to work on as they go into the top 8.
Exactly. So just a quick little shout out to my family at home that can't be up here. They've just jumped on the live stream.
Good on them.
I see you at home, little Bubs and Mel. Thank you very much for the support. Me and Cave, we love the support up here.
Yeah, thanks to all the mateys tuning in, and you're about to get a real treat here. Jordan Graham on that track edge. Scott Chembry behind him in that high-tech Oils 350Z. Seemed to have a bit of an understeer there as he tried to get back onto the power. Cooking now, but Jordan Graham in that all-carbon 180.
How did he keep that on the
track edge again? This is the type of precise driving that we are looking for in pro. Bang on that judge line. I reckon even the judges are taking notes on this one. That is how you drive 3 to 6. Well done, Jordan Graham. Look at that.
Rear bumper off the track in not one, but 2 corners in his lead run. This guy here, he said he wants to win. He's come here to do it. With driving like that, look at this, setting himself up. Wait, no correction was made from at least 50 metres before that turn. Not one.
Can't hit a clip.
Absolutely. He's been putting so much money and effort into this car. I know he spends a lot of time in the shed setting it up. It's come to the time, and look at him. He's absolutely killing it up here at QR.
Big power, JZ, and I feel that's one of the things that some people miss out on is spending that time on, yes, you can bolt all the parts on that you want, you know, go through your catalogue, real fancy turbo, exhaust manifold, inlet manifold, you know, chucking every suspension arm under the car, but unless you know how to calibrate it and you're very familiar with what each tweak does, you're never going to be as successful as some of these drivers who live and breathe that car. And, you know, Jordan Graham's one of those guys that you sit down there and you start picking his brain about suspension tuning, and it's not a, oh, I run this. It's, oh, I tried a little bit more caster last time, and, you know, maybe a little bit of toe here, and, you know, this is what we're playing with on this track, and you can see that come back and really help him through those battles.
I made the mistake this morning going up and saying, mate, look, what changes have you done? A 2-minute chat turned into a 30-minute debrief on the whole car. I love it. This guy, he knows his car. A driver that knows his car really is what you want. He said, oh, I've changed caster, I've changed PSIs. We're looking at the track temps now. This guy's out here checking tax trim. You know, he wants it. He's going for the win, putting it right up into the chase there. Again, Scott absolutely filling that out of clipping zone. Jordan Graham, they're coming through. Where is he in the smoke? Oh, there he is. He's still there.
Yeah.
He's holding it right there. This guy's not scared. A little bit of a straight there. Oh,
look at the duck through.
Unfortunately, they're pushing all the way through on Scott. What happens here? Does he take? That's an overtake.
That was insane crash avoidance there, just a split-second decision. And I was going to say, as much as we're talking about Jordan Graham's car, the Hi-Tech Oils 350Z is an incredible machine. It's gone through a massive rebuild since the fire at the previous round. So
shout out to Raph there.
Yeah,
He's absolutely. They took this track off the track on Friday, fitted a complete new exhaust system from the diff back to get right to the back of the track.
And so you can see there's a lot of tweaking to get that car right. And as they come through this middle section here, it looks like Scott's over-rotated a little bit, gone to foot brake and switched back. But Jordan has just gone, nah, too slow for me, bro. Bang, straight into that. I think the judges may have marked him down a little bit more if Scott had managed to continue that drift, but it looked like he swung it into a nut anyway. So I think maybe Jordan saw something from behind that we might not have seen on camera, that, look, this car is going offline. I need to get out of there quick. And it seems like a pretty clear advantage to me.
The battles are flowing out here. We've got Mitch Doyle straight back out in the lead run there against Levi Clark. These guys are absolute. Look at Levi Clark there, adjusting. Shuckers again by Doyle. These boys are loving the shuckers today. Absolutely. This final turn, they are setting themselves up and they are just holding it full noise.
Man, I feel exactly what Mitch Doyle was feeling there. You know, you tip it into a corner, and then you're coming back there and you look back and you go, gee, that car behind me is pretty quick. And 3 to 6 is so good for that, because each transition you look back and you go, oh, they're getting closer. And it was on this switch back here. You can see he looks back to Levi Clark and just goes, all right, mate, you're with me now. Let's go give that little sharkers, but then pushing himself wide and going, oh, I don't know where I'm going to be and where that Exetti car is going to keep up. Anyway, Botcher down in the pits with J-Mac. What's the word, mate?
How is this car feeling after that win against James Abbott? He's no easy target.
Yeah, no, it's great. The car's on fire. Feeling fast and able to hit all the clips and do everything we're supposed to do. So, yeah, no, pumped for the next one. I think we've got a big matchup next as well.
Yeah, Aaron Dewar, he, again, is no easy feat to overcome. We were mentioning to a couple of other drivers that you had the potential to be the fly in the ointment. Are you here to ruin as many people's days as possible?
Look, I don't like to ruin people's days, but that's pretty much exactly why I'm here. You know, you know, to be honest, I'd love to be part of the series. Some things haven't allowed that, so yeah, it's just good to get amongst the guys who are going back to back and make sure I still got it. You know, I've been off for a bit, so yeah, the car's on fire. Pumped about Tabs because he's got a big noisy V8, 2 big noisy smoky V8s going at each other. It's going to be pretty full on, so it's going to be great.
We are definitely looking forward to 2 big noisy smoky V8s. Back to you guys.
Oh, man, it's so cool to see like how much friendly rivalry is out there, and I don't think it's going to be as friendly as we get to the end of it. We've got Levi Clark now out in front of Mitchell Doyle there. Levi just knows exactly how much speed can be carried into that turn 3 and roast that track edge, although it's probably not exactly where the judges want to see him. He's still got that power through that bob in the middle there. That Exetti Drift Team S15 leaning back on its rear wheels there and smoking away, whereas Mitchell Doyle on the transition there just seemed to have a bit of an understeer moment and had to reinitiate and get it in there. But proximity fantastic there from Mitch Doyle.
Mitch Doyle, our number 2 qualifier, absolutely giving to these boys. He was the dark horse of this round, you know, but Levi Clark, look at this lead run. He's got the number plate never lift, and by the looks of it, he did not lift this whole session. He's seeing it all the way through those clipping zones. Quick snap back there, and again, setting himself up right through to that final clipping zone.
I only saw it on the replay there, but Mitch Doyle did seem to go that little bit shallow between turns 4 and 5, and that is what has allowed him to maintain that proximity to come through. Really good look under the bonnet of Jordan Graham's car there, that all-carbon fibre 180SX that we just saw knock out the big Hi-Tech Oils 350Z of Scott Shembry. So he's got to be stoked with that, you know, getting the water in, getting hydrated, and most importantly, tweaking the setup. The man himself, Christian Pickering, back there doing a couple of tweaks, getting some fuel in there as well. This is intense. We got some comments on the live stream there saying both Hi-Tech cars gone in the top 16. Go Queensland.
Mate, this banter is absolutely killing it. These Queensland boys, they have turned up this weekend. But look, we've still got Mo Hooley and his team out there all the way. You know, there's not many locals left in the show. New South Wales boys, still got plenty of them in there. But, you know, what's happening? These guys, it's coming down to these guys trusting their cars, trust their battles. Silly little mistakes of pushing out some of these big names, you know. You got to be in it to win it. So we'll just throw over here to the top 8 results. once we get them on the screen here, go away.
We've got Bo Yates will be battling Mo El Hawley, which has been talked up for quite some time, so I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Following that, we'll have Aaron Duar up against Josh Botcher, who we just heard down in the pits is eager to stick it to people. I think the quote was, I don't come out here looking to ruin people's days, but that's exactly what I'm going to do.
That's exactly
and then
right.
We've got Levi Clark and Jordan Graham up against each other. The Queensland local versus the clinician from South Australia. And then we'll have Matt Van Kirk all the way down from the US of A up against Angus Kidd there, who's scraped his way through against Brendan O'Grady. I know he's going to be down there in the pits with the crew. We got Trevs and Marlon down there, you know, spinning spanners, making sure that that big boy Supra is good to go. J-Max down the pits, I think, catching up with Jordan Graham. Keen to hear it from the driver.
It's a massive scalp that you've nailed in the form of Scott Shembry. How does it feel to take out such a high-profile driver?
Oh man, I'm on a biggest high right now. It's awesome. Like, I feel really bad there. I'm not sure what happened to Shembry, but yeah, I got lost in smoke a bit there, and it was all happening. It was awesome.
We were looking at your lead run, the bare minimum of correction happening out there. You've really got this line dialed. How is everything with the car?
Yeah, the car's feeling really good. We might put a little bit more grip into it next run out there, but yeah, I'm really happy with the car at the moment.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to seeing more of this carbon-clad beast. Guys, what do you think of this thing? Get up close and have a look, man.
Man, that's the benefit of open pits. If there's anyone down there, go and see this car in person. It's an absolute machine. And man, it was so fast out there already. Jordan chucking more grip into the rear. I'm excited.
I don't understand how you can just look at someone with a straight face and just go, you know what, we're going to throw some more grip in this car. You've already got enough speed, mate. Leave it. Don't fix it if it ain't broke.
No, he was doing it without sweat, and I know for a fact he's a driver who can use every ounce of grip that he's got. So I'm keen to see him start dialing it in, getting quicker and quicker. Because if he's out there gapping a few dudes, and that's what we need at the top, you know, is some of our best drivers to be going, you know what, for this battle, we do need a bit more grip, or we do need to push a little bit hard. And that's where you see these mistakes get pushed, and where you see the top drivers really starting to sweat under their collar. And a comment I was going to make before is it's so exciting to see 2019 has already been a huge year for high-tech, and by round 3, it's great to see it growing into this national series that it's always had the ambition of being. I think 2020 is going to be a huge season. We got a lot of drivers coming from interstate and saying they love the drivers out there, sure, but also the format and the media that we're able to get them around this car. So if you're at home watching and thinking, hey, I'd love to see my car on the big screen, be sure to get your entries in. We've still got round 4 and 5, and these championships can be upset throughout the season.
Which we're seeing today.
Yeah, you know, which we're definitely seeing today.
The top 8 now, we've got 4 names in the field there that haven't been here as well. You know, these guys, they're all putting down. The top 4 is what I'm actually scared to see, because there's names in there. You got Botcher. You know, he's basically said, I'm not here to mess things up, but I'm here to mess things up.
Yeah.
You know, that's a call out to all your top 4 guys. We got guys, you know, Kuda was sitting in 2nd position. He's not here this weekend. You know, Mo's here. He's basically said, I want to jump up and go for the win. We got Scott Shembry, unfortunately knocked out in the top 16. You know, he was in 2nd place. This is a big upset to the championship points with some of these names that are coming through to the top 4.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should have a bit of a family championship as well. The Hoolies will take it out with a couple of drivers. And we got J-Mac in the pits now with Levi Clark.
Levi Clark, track conditions are changing out there as we get more heat into the surface. How's it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. You know, the Nexons are hooking up well. The exceeded clutch is copping the abuse we're sending at it. Yeah, just stoked to be back out here, like Japanese parts and performance, turning this car around after that fire. Be able to come here and put on a show like this, and I know, what are we now, top 8? Top.
We are well and truly up in the order. You've got Jordan Graham out next in that carbon fibre 180. How are you feeling? Because he's taken some big names down.
Yeah, he's a solid competitor. Like, I've watched him over in South Australia, and, you know, he's full send every lap. Yeah, haven't run with him, so it's going to be an interesting battle, but, yeah, keen.
You're having to clutch kick a lot more as we get these sticky track conditions. Are you concerned about the driveline, or is it up for the challenge?
Yeah, no, she's sweet. She'll handle it. Just keep sending it, I guess.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Levi Clark's definitely a driver that I respect. You know, a driver that you see at a lot of these comps, but I've also driven with him at Matsuris. You know, he just brings that car out wherever he gets a chance to have a steer, fighting it out at some of the biggest events around the country. But, you know, taking a chill approach to it, bring it out for one here and there, putting it in the shed for a little while, and just focusing on living life, as a lot of us are.
So we've got Thomas McKenna away there in his S15, which we've got correct this time now. An But in the chase, Mark Materian in a supercharged S13. These both boys, they're absolutely filling the outer zones there in that final run. So we're getting right in here to the battles now. These boys starting to shape. They've got the feel of their car now. They know what the battles, they know what the judges want. This is where they start sending it nice and hard for these guys, you know. As far as the battles are going to start warming up now, they've got rid of the guys that are still learning about their cars. These guys know their cars. They're going to send it hard, and this is where we're going to see some tight battles come out of these Pro-Am guys. Especially in the last rounds where we've seen these boys, once they're getting into this section of the track, you know, these boys, they really want to push door and door. We've just seen what the pro guys can do. These guys are now, they're all G'd up. They see what can happen. I'm sure these guys are going to start pushing the limits of themselves and their cars.
There always seems to be a bit of a feeder effect as well between you got your pros and your Pro-Am. As we go through the event, the Pro-Am, well, you know, they'll run their top 24 or top 16. Pro will run their top 24 or top 16. But it's as it gets into those top 16 and into the top 8 battles, you see the Pro-Am guys up on the wall, and invariably as top 8 of Pro-Am comes out, the speed goes up and up and up and up because they're seeing what's possible on this layout. And yes, there's a difference in grip and a difference in tyres and obviously a difference in power level between a lot of these guys as well. But just seeing that something is possible and seeing another driver come out there and do it 10, 20, 30, 40 Ks an hour quicker than you've been doing it, lets that little light bulb off in your head to go, well, okay, maybe that's something I should try myself.
And especially some of the camaraderie in the pitch. You know, these pro guys, they're getting right in there and telling these Pro-Am guys, you can do it, you can make it happen. As you can see, Mark here setting a little bit of a shallow line there into these entry. McKenna absolutely putting it straight into the door, staying in that judge line where the judges want to see him. You know, he's bettering that line that the lead is actually setting up for him. We got in there straight through the switchback again, diving straight through the smoke. These guys, these are Pro-Am, they're still making smoke. These guys are absolutely sending it deep. Deep again, running that cruise zone, again finishing right on the door there. Good, clean run by both the boys. You know, both have a little mistake. Again, we are in the Pro-Am class, but look, these guys, these aren't sloppy runs.
Yeah, I tell you what though, you're lucky I'm not a judge, because if you handbrake like that and I'm judging, you'll get a big fat 0 from me. But otherwise, the rest of the run, so nice there. You know, that blue S15 just tucking in so tight on the door of the little S13 out in the lead there. I feel, you know, that's what I love about the Pro-Am series as well, and the beauty of it is that the judges don't get too critical on those little nitty-gritty points about that. If you put together a clean run, you drive together, they do give you a bit of leeway online to let these drivers practice their battlecraft, and that's the most important thing.
Now, this here has been a battle they've been waiting for all weekend, because Mesmer has called out quite a few times that he goes, I need the win, I want the chase. Jono was there, and Jono's like, you're not taking it, I'm taking it. He's wrecked 3 front bars this season, he's got it off, he's here for vengeance.
Yeah, keen to see Jono tuck in there with that new NASCAR gearbox. He's going to be all over grabbing gears and trying to make sure that Daniel Mesmer does not disappear. Perfect emulation there from Jono on the switchback. They both go nice and wide there. Let's see what happens as they wipe speed off for the switchback. Nice emulation for Jono there, but he has let Daniel Mesmer just gap him a little bit on the outside, reeling him in, but that has occurred right in front of the judges, and it might hurt him there in the battles.
If we just go back to replay, I'm not sure if anyone else here, I'm not sure if it was just the way I was watching, but it looked like there was a little bit of bobble there from Mesmer. It looked like sort of stalled up quite a little bit in that switchback coming back through here. Setting up a nice clean line here, but once he comes out of the little dip here, he starts to wind a little bit more angle. Sort of a bit of a slowdown there. It looks like I couldn't see what the wheels were doing. Straight into a readjustment. Did that stuff up Jono? Not too sure, but Jono was trying to close straight in. We're just going to throw back into J-Mac now down in the pits.
Chambry, a tough finish, mate. You've gone from the very highs of coming on the podium last round to being out in competition now. What's going through your head?
Oh, it's a tough sport, mate. When it's high, it's high. When it's low, it's low. But obviously coming into this round, we got the new system in the car, and we had teething issues all weekend. We thought we could drive around it. Unfortunately, we couldn't. Just the intermittent fault with the throttle body. So the throttle body will cut out and there's no fuel in the pedal. So a bit hard to drive behind someone or in front of someone with no pedal. So back to the drawing board. Pretty disappointed because, you know, we were on a roll. I've only driven the car this is my 3rd time. So we'll be back next round, mate.
Who's your pick for round 3?
I'm going to go with mate Levi.
Levi definitely looks good today.
Yeah, that's it, mate. All right, see you next time, guys.
Next time it is Scott Chambry, one half of the high-tech Blaze unit, ladies and gents.
Hard result for poor Scoots there. He's come a long way. Actually, no, he's living local up here these days.
He's
but
local.
The cars have come a long way. You know, did plenty of laps yesterday between the high-tech 350Z and also the new M3 that we'll hear a little more about potentially throughout the rest of the season. But hard result there for Scott Chembry, and I'm sure he's eager at round 4 to go back and put himself back on that
this
podium.
Is the Jono we needed in the last run, sending it right deep into that last clipping zone. Look at the speed that he's got now that he's out in front with a bit of fresh air, sending it right down to a little bit shallow there on the clipping zone, but getting his front right over that inner clipping zone with the front end. A little bit of a straighten there by Jono. Heavily not doing that in the lead run. That is scary. Lucky there was a little bit of a gap there from Daniel Mesmer.
Yeah, look to me, that's kind of the point where, depending on your gear ratios, you will grab that gear to then facilitate turn 3. It has a new, I believe it's a Jericho 4-speed or one of those big NASCAR 4-speeds in it. And as he was coming through there, just going to grab that gear, potentially missing out, because it looked like the car was settled. It was in there, it was ready to transition back, and then the wheel speed just wasn't there to push it out the other way, just for a hesitation of a second. But you combine that with maybe a few mistakes in the chase, and I'd say Daniel Mesmer has just inched it through there.
Yeah, Mesmer, he's been pretty consistent all weekend. He didn't do as many laps as he wanted to yesterday because he goes, I'm in front, I'm in a right headspace, the car's feeling good. I don't want to push myself and exert the car too much before I do any damage. Comes out here this morning, throws down absolutely killer qualifying run, putting himself on the top set there for qualifying. He goes, I want the 1 from 1. I put myself in first. I want to take first position.
Yeah, wow, huge.
The calls just like that in the Pro-Am class, like that's what I love. The banter from these guys. Mesmer doing a great season last year. Come back in here. He wants a win. Let's make it happen.
And that was the whole motivation behind the Pro-Am series, is to give the drivers 2 podiums to fight for. So it's not just constantly the same people getting trophies after each event. And, you know, a couple of these guys will get a chance to take home a trophy themselves. Jack Gibbons seems to be driving quite cleanly in that Running Hearts R32, while Ben Odgers behind him just had a few moments there in turn 3, reeling back in that Running Hearts DC R32 there, with Ben Odgers tucking in and getting more close and close throughout that corner, but probably not enough to overcome his earlier mistake that we'll see on the famous insurance replay now.
Jack's a little bit of a dark horse, you know. I watched him in practice yesterday, you know, and he was setting out some pretty good qualifying laps, but he spent most of his time chasing the pro cars. You know, he was not scared to throw down with them big boys, really seeing what speed that you can throw down, and it's coming to show here. You know, the Odgers ain't no slouch around this track. He's done plenty of laps, just like me and yourself, and look at this, you know, Jack's putting down killer lead run, sitting right in the middle of the track there, not even adjusting again right out to that outer clipping zone. He's set himself up, and you know, he could be one to come up against in the later top 4.
Nice and clean, and exactly what we want to see there from these Pro-Am guys. It was a tight chase there. A tight lead there, with Odgers just struggling to tuck in behind that Running Hearts DC R32. I believe we have one more Pro-Am battle out there, with Adam Burgess currently lining up against Brendan O'Grady, or Bogger, as he's become known, Bogger the Aussie.
Bogger the Aussie, or Brendan Bogger O'Grady! That live stream absolutely killed us. You know, the boys, Bogger over there representing Australia, you know, he's sending it for the boys, and he was so happy to hear, you know, and here he is again, back weekend after weekend. You know, this guy just absolutely loves drifting. You know, he's committed to this series, and now he's committed to another one over in Thailand.
And it's that seat time that gives these drivers the skills that they need to do. And you know, I remember I was speaking to Suanaga over at Ebisu. We were having a chat about driving and practice and stuff like that, and one of our friends who was getting a lesson goes, I try and practice once or twice a week, and he went, not enough.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, these guys doing back-to-back comps.
So we've got Ben Odgers here in the lead, absolutely. Jack Gibbons closing right up on the door there, right on the pillar there, sitting it, even hitting the clipping zone right with his front end. Absolutely killer lead run there by Ben Odgers as well. He found his form in the front there. Maybe a bit of a clear track is what suits his driving style. Little bit, as you would say, too much handbrake there by Ben.
Yeah, I might be a bit too critical, but I figure if I yell about it enough, some people might start listening.
Again, we are in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, of course. For me, it's one of my pet peeves, but I know some people prefer it in their driving style, so I'm just having a bit of a laugh here. And what I love seeing is these battles coming together through the later stages, and how nicely these two cars have exited that turn 6 together. Quite a clean Pro-Am battle.
Yeah, they did clean up that end. Both boys in that cleaner later stages of the run, both clean, setting themselves up right in front of the shutters where it does matter the most.
Yep. You know, entries are the hardest part of drifting. You know, once you've got the car out there and doing it, as long as you're steering and throttle technique and you know what road speed and what gear you need to be in, it's the entry that can really trip people up. Here we can see Adam Burgess coming in hard in that BA XR6 Turbo with Brendan O'Grady behind him. It's a bit of a laugh. This would be the Japanese and Australian interpretations of the family sedan, side by side out on the track. Big four-door, turbo straight six. One's a 2.5 litre, one's a big boy 4 litre from down under, mate. But both of them driving quite well and showing that these big sedans do have a place in drifting. You just need to get creative on your setup, maybe shed a bit of weight where you can, but use the power of that big donk under the bonnet to stick it to some of these other cars.
Both of them, they're running rear chop bars, so they're both running HMAS boats out there, and they're going for maximum weight reduction. Just a hats off to both boys throwing these big cars around. You know, so we're just going to throw down to J-Mac now in the pits. He's got some updating information for us. Down to J-Mac.
Talking about throwing big cars around, there's not too much throwing around at this big old girl. A 1967 Mercedes Fintail running 5.7 litres of LS up front. Now, you wouldn't normally see this at a drift event, but it's all thanks to Brisbane Car Meets and Cruising. But check this out. Not only does it look the goods up front, have a look at this sweet interior. Old school bench seat, pretty rare for a Mercedes. Love the steering wheel, love the carpet. This thing has been really well looked after. The chrome is incredible. Big 9-inch in the rear, air ride suspension. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Back to you.
Mate, I reckon we should give him a lap of honour. What a rig. Love that old Merc, especially the ones where they've got that little wing there on the back of the quarter. Such a cool model. But, you know, obviously a bit of work going into making it just that little bit cooler. And thanks to everyone for bringing their toys out on this sunny Saturday. I had a good look underneath that Beetle in the background there because I'm a VW air-cooled nerd at heart.
This was my showstopper, this one here. This thing is snakeskin.
Death on wheels. That's what I love about those hot rods, man, where you got more motor than car.
Yep. Oh, actually, crocodile. There we go. Sorry, I didn't get around to the front of it. Crocodile skin.
The croc.
But
if that doesn't say Queensland, I don't know what does. Crocodile skin, hot rod. I love it. Let's get back to the action now as Bogger gets the chance to lead Adam Burgess, who's not giving up an inch there. Both these guys drag racing off the line. Let's see these entries.
We've got Brendan Bogger pushing it all the way out to the outer clipping zone. Adam taking that shallower line. Judges did say that they could do that in the chase, taking the shallower line. Bogger filling right out there, throwing mass angle at that clipping zone, putting on the angle exactly where it matters. He was really a little bit way off that inner clipping zone. They probably didn't look like he actually got to that inner clipping zone at all. So that's right in front of the judges. That could cost him quite a lot. We'll go back to the replay and hopefully get another angle and see if Bogger does fill that inner clipping zone.
It's good having the judges right in that infield there. You can't get away with any sort of mistake there when you're doing it in front of them, and that is the critical zone here as they come out of turn 4, down the hill, then back uphill slightly into turn 5. Can see what you mean there.
Yeah, maybe it was just a little bit too early on the switch back there, getting ready for the final turn there. I don't know whether maybe he got one tyre into it. Hopefully he did, because he did put down quite a pretty good lead run there against Adam, who respectfully was right there the whole time.
Yeah, very nice. And I love seeing the drivers who use every inch of that outside track coming out of 6, and that seems to be the most exciting way to do it. Oh, we got a little flyover here of a vintage plane. Where did that come from? Queensland Raceway turns it on. It's got every form of motorsport on the ground and in the air.
There we go. We got it for the people there at home, and on the live feed you can see we are actually near one of the RAF bases, which is only about 5 kilometres away. So we've had plenty of people saying, oh, can we fly drones? And we're like, well, if you want it shot out of the sky, go for it. But unfortunately, that's not happening this weekend.
I mean, the least one of those pilots could do is chuck an entry in for us. Give it a go, eh?
100%. So here we go.
There we go. We have Pro-Am results up on screen now. So this is how the top 8 has whittled its way down into the top 4. We will see Daniel Mesmer facing off against Thomas McManaway. Terrible with that. I really got to get my mouth around that one. And Jack Gibbons going up against Brendan O'Grady. We're back into Pro, and one of the most vocal battles of the lot, Moe El-Houli, has got his chance to battle out Bo Yates, and he's over-rotated it on that first corner there. Washed off quite a lot of speed as Bo the Show Yates rockets into that midfield section. Moe is doing everything he can to reel him back in. That's got to be a gutting mistake on the first corner of this layout.
I know Moe, he'll be absolutely kicking himself over it. Just a silly little error like that. He's been dialed in all weekend, you know, and he's put in the hard yards, his whole crew there all weekend trying to do it.
It's easy enough to do, though, and we saw Bo make a similar mistake earlier on, although he straightened rather than over-rotating. So getting that point where you get back on the power and into that corner can be difficult because you're coming in from quite a high-speed entry to a low-speed corner that you then need to power out of. So if you over-wheel speed that, boom, you're straight out on lock stops with nowhere to go.
Exactly like that, you know, like that's all the speed is gone. Once you've fully dialed in that full lock, you know, there's no coming back, unfortunately, for these boys. They're all running big angle setups, you know. And, yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to be happy with himself. But let's see how he goes. So we're just going to jump over here to the top 8 lineup for your All-Star Series. You know, in the top 8 here we got Bo Yates, Mo Hooley, which we just seen happen. Then we've got Aaron Jouar against Josh Botcher. You know, that's going to be a battle of the big boys there, both of them in big V8s. Levi Clark, Jordan Graham, that's going to be another great battle. Both boys have put massive efforts into their cars. Matt Van Kirk against Angus Kidd, you know, the top 4 that's going to come out of this, you know, these battles, they aren't messing around. You know, these cars are all big horsepower cars, and every one of them deserves to be in there.
They call it pro for a reason, and this has to be one of the most diverse top 8s I've ever seen. So I'm just interested to see who's going to make it through to the top 4. There's not a single name I can see there that doesn't deserve a spot in the top 8, and there's a couple missing who we kind of would have expected in there.
Now, you've got 4 in the top 8 that have not done a full series here. This is really, these guys are coming in, they're stamping their name in the rest of the series.
Ain't playing. I love it.
Mate, as far as it is, this game, the day's just gone so quick, you know, battle after battle after battle again. So now we've got Mo Hooley for his lead run. I'm pretty sure that in his helmet right now, he's basically said, I'm just going to send it and make it happen. So here we go. Mo Hooley in the lead. He's right on the throttle there. Bo sitting right on the door there. Absolutely big entry there from Mo. Right into the throttle. This thing is smoking from turn 1. Look at those clouds coming off it. Bo in that clipping zone all the way on his door, not giving Mo an inch to get away from him.
Both of these cars not only high-powered, but also quite light and well gripped up. It looks like Bo left behind a little bit in that transition zone there as Mo El Hooley gets on the power and pulls away. Bo able to reel him in through that last section there, and I think that earlier mistake from Mo El Hooley's chase run there is going to hurt him because Bo quite nicely done in both the lead and the chase. Mo, I think, probably got a slight advantage in the lead, but will it be balanced out? As we see the rest of this replay, we've also got Jay Mack down in the pits giving us a bit of driver insight.
Down here with the game on Motorsports Super, and Angus Kidd has Matt Van Kirk earmarked for his next battle. Now, Angus will be leading, and not to blow up his spot or anything, but there was a lot of strategy being discussed about how they were going to approach this one. It is all happening down here.
I can feel Bo Yates' car rattling my bloody fillings out from all the way up here. It's an angry sounding machine, and it seems like Bo's come in knowing that, you know, that battle was a pretty interesting one, and he's got a big top 4 ahead of him. We'll wait to hear judges' confirmation of who won that run, but I think with that mistake from Mo earlier on, it's going to hurt him.
Unfortunately, a little mistake like that, you're in the top end of the field here, you know, like little mistakes, it only takes one thing to do, and that's it. That's your day over, you know, you've made it this far, and these guys, they're not here to mess around. They've all got that trophy in sight. They want that top step, and as we see, this is the battle. Another big battle of the big boys. Aaron Jouar, he's got that in. Josh Botcher, he wants to upset the championship. So Aaron Jouar, big, massive entry straight into there, sending it right deep to that outer clipping zone, holding the line all the way through that concrete jungle there, straight into a switchback. Josh, right in there in the mix. Oh, sending it a little bit too
wide there. Botcher maybe just getting a little bit lost with what Jouar was doing with his line. He's now dipped one wheel over the center. That's a very messy run there from Botcher. You know, when I say very messy, we are critiquing pros here, so even little wheel drops do count. And here's the replay again. One thing I love about Jouar is that for him, the entry comes first, the rest of the battle comes second. So big, snappy, out the lock stops there. A couple of corrections there in the lead, but Botcher is getting well and truly lost there, finding himself way wide, way too early. And that's then had a knock-on effect as he switched back in here, ending up on the inside of the track because he is too early for that corner. Yeah, quite messy and a few mistakes there, but it demonstrates really well how if you find yourself offline early on, it's very difficult to reorient yourself, especially in the chase where you have to try and imagine what's on the other side of smoke.
100% having a chat there with Aaron Jouar yesterday over dinner, and he basically said, I said, what's it like to be going the speed that you guys are? And he goes, Jake, in all honesty, if you can't get turn 1 right from your entry, he goes, you might as well write your lap off. He goes, because that's where you make or break it. You need to carry the speed from the moment you tip in. Using tip in as a slang term there, not actually tip in for a skid, that he will do if he makes it for a victory skid.
Mate, I'm all for tip-ins. You know I'm a bogan at heart. If someone wants to pull one, I'll go for it. I think I don't know who was behind the wheel of Paul Alexander's musical car, but it did a great 360 down the straight before that had my little bogan heart aflutter. It was beautiful.
Exactly, so Botcher now here in the lead. Sort of left Aaron there a little bit in the wind there off the lead. Botcher straight onto the throttle there.
That is a hard off
Aaron
there
going straight off.
I saw that coming. It was a very, very fast entry there. Both of these drivers came in with too much speed. I'd say Jouar was almost led there by Botcher, who did manage to pull it up, but he's been dropping wheels off on each corner. So this one could, in all rights, depending on how the judges viewed those wheel drops,
we're going to get our first
come off relatively equal. Not the one more time we'd like to see, where good driving has had drivers hard to separate, but we're trying to add up a sum of mistakes here to see who's going to end up there. It looks like something might have become a bit dislodged in the back of Jouar's car there from that hard off. You can see the boot lid flapping around a little bit, and it looks like maybe a wind deflection piece to the rear radiator. I don't know how straight that is, but he's coming back around now anyway. We'll wait for the judges' result there to see what's happened.
So just people on the live feed, if anyone can hear, apparently there's a car in the pits with a gazebo on it with JAX56. Your gazebo has taken flight through the pits, so if we can get someone to go have a look at that, that'd be great.
Or, maybe strap onto it and windsurf over, whatever you want to do. Just, just as long as you make sure it doesn't hit any of the cars, you're cool by us.
If there's more entertainment on the track, there's also some on the off-field that High-Tech's absolutely delivering today. But again, looking at this replay, Josh Botcher, he's dropping a few little wheels, but look, how can you critique these guys? These guys are full noise all the way to the end, and that's what it's coming down to. I'd hate to be a judge in this line, picking on the smallest of smallest things. That's the only thing that separates these guys for the top 4.
Well, the hard thing is it's about crunching numbers in line with the regulations. So before every season, every driver is given a copy of the regulations to be able to go over. And we'll see here from that hot entry, Jouar really didn't have much of an excuse to go off there. He was far enough behind Botcher that I wouldn't say he was dragged into that off. But Botcher also dropped either 1 or 2 wheels, and only the judges will be able to tell you that. We couldn't see it there on camera. So 2 wheels off versus 4 wheels off. But then another wheel drop through the midfield, and I think a sneaky front wheel drop as well might have equaled 4 off, 4 off. I don't know how they're going to judge that and how they're going to crunch the regs, but, I'd say it's probably going to go... I can't even tell, because when the roles were reversed, remember Botcher had that massive mistake through the midfield as well and ended up early and off, and then dropped the wheel through the inside on the way through. So if we're weighing up which drivers had the cleaner runs, Jouar had a very clean lead run, and besides going off, managed to then complete an okay chase run. And then whereas Botcher, both in his lead and his chase, has had some odd corrections, couple of wheel drops, really hard for the judges. While the judges work that one out, we're going to go hear from Jouar himself with J-Mac in the pits.
Exactly, straight down.
Aaron Jouar, mate, run us through what happened just then.
Well, I knew Joshy Botcher's a very fast driver and always looked up to him, so I had to go 110%. And I just threw down a flawless lead run and sort of underestimated how quick he was off the start line and went for a big catch-up and, just understeered a little bit into the entry and threw it away, I suppose.
Well, the action is happening thick and fast here as we go back to commentary for round 3 of the High-Tech Drift Australia Series.
Yeah, interesting one there for Dabs. He's putting everything on the line here, and we'll just wait for judges' confirmation to see where that's taken him. Quick shout out to Robert Pickles from Living the Drift Life over in the UK. He's here every time like clockwork. We appreciate your help getting it out there, mate, and also g'day from the UK. Jordan Graham, how wide is he going to go? That's wheels off.
Oh, no.
That's huge.
That is massive.
Oh, man.
He's been pushing those outer lines. His entry, again, was right on that outer clipping. He was right in there. look, unfortunately, that's a bad off for him, especially coming down this thing there. Levi Clark, he's in the lead and he's going to send it as hard as he can. This is what we want.
We did see Jordan saying previously as well that he was looking to dial some rear grip in. So I wonder if that's just a cold rear tyres sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like relying on that rear grip, but then it's not driving. But he did seem to end up wide there. Levi, on the other hand, went right for that inside clip there. Like he almost put a wheel over the ripple strip. So I wonder if that's slightly having the door closed as well, expecting to come through and have that line there. Seems like Jordan regained that quickly, but it's hard. Once you've had wheels off and there's a car in front of you under the power, especially Levi Clark, who knows his track back to front.
Exactly. Just, guys, keep your shout-outs coming on live feed. I've just had my fiancé send me a Snapchat watching Aaron Drouard of my daughter making V8 car noises. We see you on the live feed. Jake Topoliff, look, we'll get back to you on that. We'll just talk to the judges and exactly find out. We were discussing about if it is a 0 or not because of the points, but we will get to it.
To your point, Jake, what I more so meant was that, yes, Aaron Drouard got it 0 by going off in his chase, but then put together an incredibly neat lead. Whereas Botcher had a summary of mistakes across both his lead and his chase. So while Drouard would have got a 10-0 in another one, I wonder if that's enough to overcome the overarching mistakes of Josh Botcher through both. So it's going to be a hard one. And again, that's why the judges do their job and we do ours. I'm sure we've got a lot of things wrong and probably will again.
That's why they're the judges and we're up here in the commentating booth.
Good to see Ian Porter on the live stream as well, aligned half the cars in the field, giving Big Dawsey a shout out as well. I hope he's there on the live stream. We'd love to see that Civic do a tip
Porter's
in, mate.
actually in NZ, so
he's sure, bro. Good to see you over there.
All right.
Anyway, we see him switched around and now Jordan Graham is out in front, finding that track edge a lot more accurately this time round. Levi Clark switching back with him. Looks like he's able to match that speed. Big front wheel lift from Levi Clark with that rear grip. And also Jordan Graham dipping a wheel off into the dirt there. So potentially he's getting that little bit excited with his top 8 position there. Maybe handing the win to Levi Clark, but only time will tell. Let's go to the replay.
Here we go now. So Jordan again, those big entries. He's been entering on that line all day, seeing it deep again. Not as deep as what he did last time, thankfully for that. But look at Levi Clark, that chase. He's been chasing hard all day, giving a little bit of gap through there, lifting the front wheels off the car yet again through there. This car's got some power. He's diving straight through the smoke. A little bit shallow. The judges will probably look at that. But again, that's coming off the back of Jordan's line. He did drop a wheel. And that makes it hard, Like, as far as in a driver's perspective, once these guys are dropping wheels and stuff, the chase guy, they've got to figure out what's going on because what's happening is the car's not where exactly it wants to be. So you've got to then adjust your chase line to correct and emulate what's happening to that car. Not exactly throw yourself off the track like the lead car is, but you've got to get that through your head. You've got to slow down. So Levi Clark there taking the win there. Hands up for the crowd. This guy, look, that's another one upset into the top 4, into the top 2 battles.
That is a huge result. Jordan Graham, showing that precise driving style that he's known for. And it looked like, his earlier battle would have been enough to get him through, but it looks like he's gone, I'm going to turn it up to 11, put a little bit more rear grip in. I want to push right to that track edge. And I don't know if he'd seen the footage previously that he was right on that track edge. So maybe he's just thinking, let me add an extra 5-10% to this. And that was enough to put a wheel in the dirt, which handed Levi Clark not the win, but the spot in the top 4. And, man, is this going to be a spicy top 4? I'm ready.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I pretty much said when back there, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He had his car dialed in. But, again, he does know what his car does.
Yep.
But, look, this sun's out, track temperatures change. That could have been anything, These guys, the heat of the moment, they're pushing to the limits. They're putting on for the crowd, They're not here for themselves at the end of the day. They're here to show the crowd what they can and can't do. So we'll throw down to J-Mac now and see what he's got to say.
Levi Clark into the top 4, and you've got 3 big names in there with you. The result of this battle between Angus Kidd and Matt Van Kirk could be one of them, but Bo Yates and Josh Botcher in the top 4 with you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, unreal, mate. Like, that battle against Graham there, it was sick. I don't know what happened behind me. Apparently he put a couple of wheels in the dirt, I was saying. But yeah, solid driver, threw it in, no hesitations, no back and forth, just a solid, clean lead run. Dropped a tyre out here, but yeah, stoked with these Nexon tyres, Exceedi car, all the sponsors, all the boys, all the family at home, all the fans and stuff. It's great to be out here.
Great stuff, mate. Back to our commentators. Hey, guys, who's your tip for our winner so far?
Oh, throw us right under the bus with that one, J-Mac. I mean, purely just because he's a good mate. I had a bit of a ticket behind Jordan Graham, but I'd love to see the enthusiasm of Angus Kidd paid off. He seems to have been really excited, but Yeah, it's a really, really hard one there. There's a few names up there. What do you reckon?
Mate, I'm Team Angus this weekend. I've been in the pits all weekend with him. Unfortunately, he's had some setbacks, but look, here he is again in his lead run. Absolute bonnet's off now. He's had his shirt off all weekend. A little bit of a mistake there, a bit of a straighten. He's given himself an uppercut there, as you can see in the drivers. But look, he's straight back into it, straight back onto the power, seeing it right after that out of clipping zone. Unfortunately, he's going to be heavy deducted for that little straighten coming through that switchback there.
Yeah, big one. And I think that seems to be one of the things that trips Angus up sometimes is it's a big power car. It's got nitrous bringing it on to get that thing on to boost, but it means you kind of need to plan ahead. So it seems here like sometimes on those lifts it kind of runs out of power, and then by the time he's back on it, it's already straightened. So then it's that big kind of re-clutch, get it back on, and all that from outside the car just means it's bobbling, there are steering corrections, and it just makes it really difficult. If you're constantly chasing that power band, and I'm not saying it's necessarily not the right tune-up for it, it's just matching driver input with how the car delivers power to get that clean result. And you can see that from, if you compare that run to probably a similar power level car in Levi Clark, he's so familiar with his course, knew where to put it. And yes, there would have been a bit of that time for a turbo to spool up. Not as pronounced with an LS with a turbo on it as it would be with a JZ that is still a pretty heavy setup car. But you get what I'm getting at, is that you're kind of predicting when that power is going to come on and knowing when to roll off it as well to bring it into that sweet spot of wheel speed versus grip versus power.
100% going back to that same thing like what Aaron Jewell and the talk about.
Yeah.
You've got to be set up from turn one, and just goes to show that one little mistake in one turn, you're then off the line for the next three, So these boys, they're in the high end of the course again, and you've got to set it from the start. Now we've got Matt Van Kirk. Let's see what Angus Kidd can do in the chase run. Putting it straight onto the door of Matt Van Kirk there.
Angus knows those mistakes earlier on. The only way to overcome them is with proximity, and that's why he's entered so close to him. But getting just too close there to the back quarter of Matt Van Kirk, throwing it into a spin to save damage to both vehicles there. That was the right call to do, but just getting a little bit too keen there and probably preempting the speed that this car had before it had engine issues. So, Matt Van Kirk and Paul Alexander fighting this vehicle, and we're going to see it now. I think Angus Kidd knows he's going home because he's just torched it through the back end of the track. But this could have shaped up to be an awesome chase run here. I just don't think he knew where he was going to bring this back together, as Matt Van Kirk carried a little more angle on the exit than we would have expected, rather than just coming back through the transition. I don't know whether judges... Really, the right call, well, I'm not going to say the right call because that's going to get me in a lot of trouble, but the call that I would personally make if I was in the judge's position is, yes, Matt Van Kirk might have held a little bit too much angle after that corner, but again, whatever the lead car does, the chase car needs to follow. And if Angus thought that was going into a spin, and for him the right thing to do was to throw himself into a spin, sure. But as we saw, Matt Van Kirk was nowhere near actually looping that car. He might have just been using that as part of his transition style.
And just looking from where that line was, it looked like that he did switch a little bit too early there, Matt Van Kirk.
Yeah.
So maybe what's happened is Angus is pushing, as we said, he's trying to keep the boost up. He's still wanting to drive forward before the switch.
I think here you can see he does throw it into the spin as Van Kirk's car goes left before the transition. We just missed that bit there, but as the boot came out and he wound on that last bit of left angle before flicking it to the right, that seemed to be what really spun Angus. It's a hard one.
Okay, now we got Thomas McManaway. I got corrected, and thank you to Grant. We've got
Big high five up here. Thanks, boys.
So Thomas McManaway in his F15 against Daniel Mesmer. These guys, this is the battle of the blues.
I would love to see that car with a front bar on it. It is railed. It's got that nice kind of guard line skirt comment. It reminds me a lot of my mate Jimmy's S15 as well, that some of you guys might know. Very neat looking car there, but seems to have had a bit of an a bit of an understeer as Daniel Mesmer gets through the rest of that corner pretty neatly.
He's done well there to crash avoidance too, is exactly like that.
Oh, speaking about Jimmy, who's S15, he's on the live stream. The bloke who owns pretty much everybody in the Sydney Drift community $500. So if anyone there is chasing Jimmy for money, PM me for his home address. Anyway, we'll get through this battle now. I've been chasing him myself. But yeah, it looks like someone's ripped Jimmy's car and taken the front bar off it, because this is a beautiful blue S15 here. Seemed to have a bit of an understeer moment, and I'm not going to say I told you so, but that handbrake entry style is quite susceptible to understeer because the back of the car isn't weight transferring. But yeah, maybe a few front end issues through there, because it doesn't seem to be reacting to driver input as he'd like.
Maybe a few issues there. Did they make some adjustments? But yeah, so now we're going up to the top 4 battle ladder tree, which is now. Oh, there we go. Back up again.
So this is for the Pro-Am. We have our top 4 battle tree. So Thomas McManaway was the battle that we we're just seeing there. He's had a bit of an off in his chase run, but still has the opportunity to lead Daniel Mesmer. Whereas Jack Gibbons will be going up against Brendan O'Grady. J-Max down in the pits with Van Kirk to find out what happened in that battle.
Star-studded cast. Bo Yates, Levi Clark, Josh Botcher, this man, Matt Van Kirk. You feel like you deserve to be up there with these guys? These are drifting greats in Australia. I reckon you do. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It was definitely a hard battle to get to this point in this competition. I just rang his kid, and his car is fast. There's no way I would have kept up with him. I thought he had an advantage, but it looks like he might have tapped my quarter panel and spun out on his chase. So luckily, that happened. I got the win. Other than that, I was floored pretty much the whole run, and I couldn't keep up with that guy. So hats off to him, and hopefully the car stays strong and we keep putting on a good show for everybody.
We definitely cannot wait. Now, you've drawn Levi Clark. What are your thoughts on his car and his performance so far?
I haven't seen much of his runs yet. I've seen a couple, and his car looks absolutely amazing, incredible. It's loud, fast, and he's just driving incredible. So it's going to be probably the toughest battle we're going to have so far, and hopefully we could advance on that.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, of course. Cheers.
I love the clinical approach that Matt Van Kirk has to this sort of stuff. He's come all the way from the other side of the globe to come down here and battle, and you can tell that he's really taking it serious as a competitor, admitting, hey, maybe I haven't seen as much of Levi Clark's driving as I should have, and he's certainly going to get a windscreen full of it in his chase position behind him, so it's going to be a bit of a battle there. We can see front tyres chewed up from having a good run. We're moving back into this battle now with Thomas McManaway now leading Daniel Mesmer. Will he be able to make up for that understeer on the first entry before? Daniel Mesmer tucking in nicely there behind Mr. McManaway. Let's see how they go through the midsection here. Tom seemed to be struggling a little bit with front alignment or just getting the front of that car to respond the way he wanted to. Daniel Mesmer tactically leaving a bit of a gap there. You can see that blue 180SX has more speed to offer, but he's not tucking in until the safe zone of turn 6, where he's all over the front quarter of that S15. That's when you know you're getting doored if you've got headlight on headlight.
Mesmer did say in one of the chats there with J-Mac yesterday that, look, this weekend's going to be won on your chase battles, and for this, he's played it safe. He stayed in the right zones. The judges will be watching that. He's been very clinical with his driving. Leaving just enough gap in case he knows that there is a mistake can happen, and he's ready for crash avoidance, which is hats off to Daniel Mesmer there.
Yeah, very good battle. And on the live stream, great to see my boy Marvis, the most opinionated drifter here in Queensland, telling people, pretty much reflecting my comments before of try not to handbrake in a straight line. So it's good to see a bit of nice vibe jumping in on the live stream there and giving everyone else a rev up. I'll let you go with the opinionated comments now. I'm going to leave myself to be positive and glowing here for everyone who's managed to bring their car out to sunny Queensland Raceway today. Round 3 is the midpoint of the series, has shown that this is growing into that national series. We've got confirmation from the judges that Mesmer's going through, which we guessed a little bit with McManaway. Just seemed to be struggling with that handbrake style entry and with through the middle there, just not quite steering that car in the way that he would have liked, while Mesmer seemed to be dialing back road speed and intentionally leaving a gap. So it's going to be interesting to see how much of that speed he's going to be able to use in the top Pro-Am battle, which will be up against one of these two drivers here.
So Brendan O'Grady in the lead against Jack Gibbons. Jack over-rotating that entry there, not keeping up with, or maybe too much speed against Brendan Bogger. Not too sure what exactly went there. Brendan's now, looks like he's looked back and playing it safe there. Hopefully he is, to put in a nice safe flat there, because this guy, bit of bad luck, but look, he's made himself to the top end of the battle tree yet again. And look, it's paid off for him. He's just done an absolutely clean, nice lead run there, filling what the judges' criteria. Maybe Jack's broken something there when he's spun out there in the first.
Shame for Jack Gibbons. You know, well-presented car, and he's been driving quite nicely throughout the comp so far. So hopefully nothing huge mechanical issues there, but it doesn't seem to be moving under its own power. I can see recovery rocketing out there, and while you're at it, do a tip in. You won't. Okay, now the car's back up and going. I've really got to stop G'ing up recovery. It's one of my favourite things to do, and I hope you're on the live stream. You're doing a great job out there and being able to keep up with what's going on. But, you know, if the track wouldn't mind you just getting one of those utes on the brake, that'd be swell, bud.
Well, we just got to be careful because Cookie is out there in a ute. He's not driving this weekend, but he's been helping out there. He's got a beautiful picture of Dan Mackey on the side of his ute. So hopefully the live stream can find that beautiful picture of Dan Mackey, our head judge.
Here's
Going back to the replay now.
Gibbons just over-rotating a bit on that entry, trying to come in as hot as he could on the door of Bogger, who he knew has been driving quite well throughout this event so far. So coming in hot, just, you know, maybe when he's got back on the power there, letting that rear just over-rotate a bit too much with too much wheel speed. But, yeah, Brendan O'Grady putting together a pretty neat run there. We're going to head to J-Mac in the pits to see how Angus Kidd's going.
Angus Kidd going down to Matt Van Kirk. It was a tough battle. Run us through what happened as you were chasing.
I went in hard. Matt being a FD driver, I was expecting some pace. Apparently the car's down on power and I could hear it labouring a bit. But I went full commitment after a small error in my lead. As we were coming to that second outer zone, I dialed on a little bit more speed, and as he's gone to transition, he's pulled more angle. It slowed him up a little bit as I was accelerating. So to not hit him, I've jabbed the brakes. I couldn't turn it back in time, looped, and day done, unfortunately. So that's today over for us. But I just want to say thanks to my sponsors, Game On, Valeno, Engine by Trez, Tyre Solutions, Gearbox Masters, everyone. Thank you so much for what you've done to get me here. The car's been great. So small improvements, and then hopefully Calder will get on the top spot.
I think it's been fantastic. We have been keeping an eye on the mechanical performance of the car. Almost flawless. You did get over some fuel pump gremlins yesterday, and in the end, unfortunately, just a bit of a driver error that brought you unstuck. If anything's going to fail, that's something that you can fix. You must be happy about that.
Yeah, look, the car's been good. We've got great support. I've got an amazing pit crew here that just works so hard. And yeah, for it to be a driver failure, that's good because we can always develop on that. And you know, that's racing. So see how we go next round.
Looking forward to it. Back to you guys.
On you, Gus. As we've seen, a great attitude is the best road to the podium. The rest can come together. So good to see a smile on his face as he goes on the trailer. I'm sure there's two huge smile on faces now as Brendan O'Grady tucks into that rear quarter before the transition, then again onto the door of Gibbons. What a great run from these two. And the Pro-Am drivers really starting to come into their stride.
O'Grady not leaving any room there for Gibbons to make room or get away from him. O'Grady absolutely setting himself up from turn one, sitting right in that judge's line, sitting in that pillar point where all he has to do is just adjust his space on how close he wants to get to the lead driver. There he is tucked right into that A pillar, sending it right back in, giving a bit of a gap, coming right back up to the final turn, putting it straight back into that pillar. Look, O'Grady, he's done well all day. He's had a little bit of bad luck. Also, some things have gone his way. You know, unfortunate for Jack taking a spin, you know, but I don't think that was enough to go one more time.
Yeah, it's a hard one there because that spin is a 0. I think if even a bit of a messier run had been put together by Gibbons in the chase without that spin there, it would have been a hard one for them to judge. But that has confirmed it for us that we will see Thomas McManaway facing off against Jack Gibbons in that battle for third. And Daniel Mesmer versus Brendan O'Grady, two names that we've seen right up at that pointy end of the Pro-Am series again and again. So this is sure to be one hot battle.
Mesmer, he come into this and said, oh, look, I want to take the top step. And look, he's put himself there. Now it's only coming down to one person.
Speaking of spicy battles, Bo, the show, Yates, up against Botcher.
These guys, they've battled in different seasons before, and now they're thrown down in the high temp.
Yeah, despite like a few mistakes here and there from Botcher just in the previous battle, everywhere else this weekend he's been clean as a whistle in his driving style. So he's tucking in now behind Bo. Great speed for both these cars as the smoke clears on the switchback. Where is he? Bo seems to have just opened up a little bit of a gap through the transition there, but Botcher taking the shallow line to try and get over the door of Bo, but I think that might be counted as a bit of a shortcut by the judges.
Yeah, just chasing that shallower line there, trying to just fix the gaps there, bit of an avoidance. But look, Bo, once he's out in front and he's got clean air in that car, it's very rare that he makes a mistake, and comes to show, he's got one of the biggest pressure drivers out in the drifting world, and he's staying cool, calm and collected there and put a good lap together.
Yeah, it's that shot there. Like, as they came past the apex of turn 6, like, Botch's taillight was pretty much to Bo's headlight, and I think that much of a difference in line when you're chasing it is a pretty clear shortcut there. So I reckon the judges are going to mark him down a bit for that, which is a shame because elsewhere it looked like Botcha was all over Bo. And if he would have kept that outside line, he probably would have matched the speed. But I'd say a clear advantage there to Bo Yates.
I'd like to find out that's the horsepower difference between those two cars, because I know Bo's not in the top end of the horsepower field, and Botcha's up there. That's it's quite a big difference, especially with a V8 in the torque curve that it's putting out.
Oh, good to see the corporate board of Tap Beer Industries here on the live stream. Both Ian Baker and Chris Dawes, corporate heavyweights here who know how to scull back a tap beer as well. So good to see on the live stream, guys. Welcome. Exactly. Here we are with the repeat of now Bo Yates and Botcha. So this is where I think it's got critical. You see Botcha there tipping in to that inside ripple strip, whereas Bo is following that mid-widening line that the judges are asking for. Whether that's to do with Botcha's familiarity with the layout or if it was an active move there to try and tuck in and get up on Bo Yates, who he knew would have a bit of an advantage there, is yet to be seen. Let's see what line Botcha takes in the lead.
This is going to be a big battle here because Botcha knows that he's pretty much got to send it all the way to get at least a bit of a gap happening.
Difficult one for sure. Let's see them enter.
Big entry again by Botcha, filling out all the way out to the outer clipping zone again. Bo Yates tucking right in behind that inner clip, sitting right on Botcha's clip there. Again, Bo Yates just coming in a little bit shallow there, maybe just diving through the smoke, not knowing where Botcha is. But Botcha setting it nice mid-line all the way through to the end there, filling the outer clipping zone all the way through. That's going to be a hard one for the call for the judges because, you got a shallow line given by Bo Yates again, but then Botcha filling all clipping zones.
How good is that entry from Josh Botcha, though? Nice, straight out to lock stops without much of a correction. Switching back here, really unloading that inside wheel shows how much rear grip these cars have. As they switch back here through the transition, Bo just that little bit shallow there, but as he comes around, tucking in with a chase line that's a lot closer to what we would have liked to see for Josh Botcha. So that is the first of our top 4 pro battles, and it's been a huge upset throughout the top 32 ladder. We had some strong qualifying results from both familiar names and some challenges from both interstate and internationally in the case of Matt Van Kirk. We've seen, as that's been whittled down, a few of our more familiar drivers have had either battle upsets or mechanical gremlins or just straight out mistakes, and this is how our top 4 is shaping up. So Bo Yates knocked out Mo El Houli for his spot in the top 4, whereas Joshua Botcha knocked out Aaron Dewar for his spot in the top 4, and they'll be facing off against each other. Levi Clark and Jordan Graham was one hell of a battle earlier on, but Jordan Graham dropping a wheel, and that is what's seen him go home and that top 4 position go through to Matt Van Kirk. We did have another battle there on the top 4. It'll come back up screen in a second, but we're seeing the Toyota Genuine Parts 8.6 being frantically prepared for this battle as we'll go back through.
So we should now be getting Levi Clark and Matt Van Kirk out there to figure out our, this is the last battle in the top 4, who will be taking on the winner of the previous battle between Bo the Show Yates.
And you're right, there was one there, Levi Clark rounding out our top 4 spots. Exactly. A local who's a damn good driver to boot. So, it's been some exciting battles thus far, and I think the top 4 is going to get quite interesting.
A little bit of Levi there on the brakes there, just having a little bit of brake jobby.
Torch it.
Exactly. Don't stop there.
Man, tyre heat is a huge thing here. And, the track temp is up there, but we do need to ensure that these guys have, I personally find, yes, rears can send you into a loop, but one that often gets overlooked is you can even do 1 or 2 runs and still have cold fronts. So you suddenly go in to rely on that front end grip to flip the car around or slow down, and it can make you unstuck.
Okay, so
is there beef here in the pits?
Who knows? Botcha, he said he wants to happen. These guys, they've had it in the past, but we'll go down to the battle of Matt Van Kirk against Levi Clark. Matt Van Kirk, a little bit of fast entry now. Maybe he's just said, you know what, last battle, let's send it. Let's get myself into that top 2 battle. Levi Clark, they're giving a little bit of a gap there, just making sure that he's not right through there because he does know that car's down on power.
Following that line nicely, though, and as they come to the transition point, perfect emulation from Levi Clark. Will he tuck in on that quarter as Van Kirk goes wide? Beautiful. That's a perfect lead line there from Matt Van Kirk, but Levi Clark is all over him.
Especially there coming to that last turn, he did better the angle one. Especially look at that entry again. Levi Clark, the master of entries all the time. You know,
quite
big
a few
entries.
bobbles there though on that entry and a few corrections, which we can mistake a little bit in the chase, but it'll be interesting to see where that goes for the lead.
Exactly. You know, and Matt Van Kirk again, he's listened to the judges all weekend, chasing that whole judges line, making sure that they're doing exactly what the judges want. He's put himself in that position. Levi Clark, how could you not put down a good chase run when Matt Van Kirk is setting a good lead run exactly like that? That's what the judges asked for. Levi Clark has delivered.
Yeah, camera crew down there just keeping an eye on some words off track between Josh Botcher and Bo Yates. I'll be interested to hear what the go was here, because from the outside at least, it did look like a relatively clean battle, but things do happen in the smoke that you can't quite see on camera. So we'll be interested to hear both the judges' call and also potentially if J-Mac managed to catch a bit of wind on what was going on there.
We do know as Botcher as a person, he does not hold back. You know, he's got no filter between what happens on track, and if something's happened out there, he's going to ask you and call you out on it.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. You know, it is a sport where everything's on the table. You can see it from outside the car, and while the judge's call is subjective and it is final, the drivers still need to be happy with how they drove with each other, what the racecraft was like. So, honestly, having that sort of motivation and clarity to be able to just go up to someone in the pits and go, look, this is what I think. Let's work it out on the spot, rather than in some places you see it turn into a bit of an e-beef and people going back and forth and yelling past each other instead of resolving issues. I, for one, am all for people getting up in each other's face in the pits
100%.
in a friendly manner.
Exactly.
And just saying, look, what went wrong? Let's put it to bed right now. Here we have Levi Clark's car. Man, that car is a king of torque jacking, just lifting that front inside wheel as he gets back on the power, which is a good tip from Formula Drift in the States.
Exactly, but not too sure there. We did have Matt Van Kirk, which looked like he did drop a tyre there into turn one. We'll have to wait until the replay, but Levi Clark setting an absolute killer lead run. That pace that car has. And Levi Clark's got fresh air in front of him. This is what he can produce.
And, you know, mistake or no mistake, Matt Van Kirk was left behind there by Levi Clark. Obviously, that car does have mechanical issues where it's down on power, but Van Kirk's line, great on the outside entry. Looked like he may have found the gravel on the exit of the corner, whereas Levi's just on it with that big Exetti Drift Team turbo LS-powered S15, just having so much power, but also being set up soft and grippy to use every single kilowatt. Every watt, I'd say, you know?
Yeah,
it doesn't
100%.
even need the kilowatts. We've got J-Mac down in the pits, finding out what was going on with Josh Botcher.
Josh Botcher, tell us from your eyes, what do you believe happened out there?
Look, I don't know why he had to run into me on the way down the straight well after the track. So he has apologised and apparently didn't mean to, but you know, he drives very close on the racetrack as well. So I don't know how driving down the straight's a problem for him, but he wasn't happy with the entry. I had a little gear issue on the entry, but I got back into the right gear and entered as fast as I could at the time, and he wasn't happy with that. So I don't know. And there's no need to run into someone. So, but anyway, we're going to go out and sort it out again.
Looking forward to that.
Cool. Thank you.
It's always hard to tell from the driver's seat there, you know, what's going on, because, you know, obviously we've got a clear view out here on camera and from viewing outside the track, but when you're strapped into a, you know, a race harness in a bucket seat in a car that's probably caged up and, you know, with you know, they do have visibility, but not a whole lot. You sit pretty low and you're just focusing on where you're driving, feeling that tap down the straight, and also from Bo's perspective, you know, seeing that entry from the outside, you don't know if someone's missed a gear. You just know what you're seeing from outside the car. But, you know, being in the chase position, you do need to react to what the lead car's doing. So not calling any rights or wrongs here from up in the booth, but it sounds like, if anything, there's going to be a bit of beef to settle out on the track, and that's what we like to see going into battles.
Especially if these guys here, you know, they've said they've sorted it and they're going to sort it out on the track. That's what we want to hear. You know, they're going to put on a show for the fans, and you know, two of the best drivers that we've got Australia to offer, and they've sorted it out. Look, as far as it is, Rubbin's racing. Exactly what Josh Botcher said, you know, so he drives close on and off the track, so let's see. Okay, so we're just having a little bit of a look there. That is the damage from the rub onto the exhaust there at Botcher.
I can see where he's coming from, though, because, you know, being being a judge sport, there is a judge section. And while a lot of these drivers, as they're coming out of the judge section, have been blazing down the straight and pulling big margins, through qualifying and practice, once it gets back into battles, you can almost consider after the judge zone as a cold track. So, yes, you'll be going there with a lot of speed, but I can see where Botch is coming from, where if it's, if you accept a bit of damage throughout the course, it's par for the course. You're out there, you're driving close, you tap here, you rub there, it happens. But down the straight, and again, we don't have great visibility of that, so we didn't see exactly how far after the course it was and whether there was a slowdown in front. But, just putting myself in the shoes of Josh Botcher from behind the wheel, it would be something you find pretty aggravating, and at least you want to find out. Now, I know Bo to be someone who's absolutely honest in his racecraft and someone who wants to make sure that everyone's having a fair go. So I couldn't see him doing anything malicious or intentionally, but I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. It happened between two drivers, and we're going to see that settled out on track now, and I can't think of a better forum to do it in.
100%. This battle here, these boys, now they've got nothing to lose, The only thing they've got to lose is that top step now. So what's going to happen is these boys are going to push as hard as they can. I know Botcher now, he's going to have that little bite in his tongue, and he's going to try and put it straight through the door.
I think we're going to see some exciting stuff. Let's hear the other side of the story now with J-Mac.
Bo Yates, as if the battle wasn't already fierce enough, it's ratcheted up to another level, one more time. As a driver, how do you set yourself up for a rematch?
Oh, well, look, every time we hit the track, we try and go 110%. And, I even go up to drivers prior to going out and have a bit of a discussion with them. But with Josh, he always likes to keep you guessing, okay? So I spoke to him about his entry and whether he's using half the track or all the track or what. And you'll just have to wait and see, he says. So, we arrive into the first turn. He's in and out of the throttle. Supposedly he's having a clutch issue, and, the battle just ran like that. But, obviously emotions are running high. I'm racing for a championship. Josh is only here for one round this year, so it probably doesn't mean he's driving with no stress this weekend. And we've battled this out many years before in ADGP and stuff, so emotions are running high. Luckily enough, the car's okay. Hopefully his car's okay as well. We'll just go out and do it again.
We're definitely looking forward to the result from that. Big things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers.
I'm starting to see a unique thing here, with Bo, the show Yates, For some reason, the show follows this guy in and off the track, A few other rounds, a few little issues, all fixed now. Now, he's just called out Botcher, saying he's only here for one round. Botcher, if you watch this and you come back into it, come back and do the next round. We want to see you here. You can upset the apple cart. You obviously have, again, these guys are fighting for fighting for this championship, Go back to the socials, What are you thinking in the socials, Put in the live stream, put on Instagram. You've seen the battles go down. Tell us who you think. Who's going to take out this win now? We've got Botcher going back up against Bo the Show Yates, Tell us what you think. Is Botcher going to put it through his door? Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one to call. And as Bo said, as much as it is a motorsport that's decided on the track, there are a lot of mind games that go on in the pits as well. And, some drivers are open with what they plan to do because they want to try and, get a fast and quick battle through and see where that goes. Other drivers like to keep it a bit mysterious, switch up their entry styles and entry points to really throw off that chase driver. And I guess as long as you're matching the judge criteria and you're hitting the clipping points that they want and you're following the line that they're saying, those sorts of mind games can be useful parts of the tactics. The problem is if you get someone very good in a chase position, they can react to that and then leave you behind on the lead. So it's a dangerous strategy. Both drivers seem to be taking a different strategy, and I, for one, am just excited to see it unfold.
The tactics were starting on Friday. Bo Yates come here early in the morning, parked his car up in the pits, got it scrutineered, sat out on that fence until 1 p.m. After lunch is when the first time he went out on track on Friday practice.
Wow.
So he was in the eyes, asking drivers what's happening, what he's doing, looking for entries, That's got to play on every other driver, Bo's here to win. He's here to go. So we're just going to go through the replay here of Botcher's lead run against Bo the Show Yates.
I can see, on the entry there, yes, maybe Josh was on the power just a little bit later, but it by no means looked slow to me. And the speed of the vehicle didn't seem to be varying too much. Like, maybe on the run-up, yes, he was in and out of the throttle, but again, it's the lead car's prerogative to set whatever entry speed they wish. If you feel it's a little bit slow, cool, pull them in. So it's a hard one there. Bo knows racecraft better than pretty much anyone else in this field, and I know that he'd be pushing for a tight chase as much as he could there with Botcher. So it's going to be an interesting one because from outside, and at least from the camera angles we were seeing, there was nothing particularly objectionable about that entry style other than the portion of the track that he was using and when he chose to get onto the power.
100%. That's hard. Like these guys, they watch each other drive and they look to see exactly what they're doing and who's doing what. So Bowie's already in that mindset of Botch is going to go in for a big, fast, heavy entry and throw in big angles. So if you're in that mindset, and that's why Bowie's even said, he goes, oh, what kind of entry? Mid-track, loop track. And Botch is straight away with the mind games. Look, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. So you got to wait. And you know what? I sort of respect Botcher in that term because this is drifting. You can throw in, if you've got different styles to throw at someone to drive to that person's driving style, 100%. If you've got more skills in the bag, pull them out when you need to. He's driving to what he thinks is his category, and if he wants to play the mind games, I'm all for it. I love the beef.
Yeah, and what I always love boiling it down to is, drifting is a judged motorsport. If you don't like it, go drag race or run a circuit day. You know what I mean? If you want something that's clear-cut and objective, well, you can get a time slip and go home. But here, we're driving for the fun of it, for the show of it, for the style of it, most importantly. And if two drivers come together and they duke it out in different ways and the judges figure out ways to split it, then all power to them. It's more excitement and variety for the sport. Anyway, we're going to head down to J-Mac in the pits for a bit more inside word.
Things have ratcheted up to another level. The 5-minute has been called. Josh Botcher's on the line waiting to leave pit exit, but it looks like everything will be okay for the Toyota Genuine Parts 86. The start has been thumbed, and it looks like Bo Yates is ready to join the fray.
That's huge. We can see Bo there switching to a new pair of front tyres. I'd say that considering how tight we're seeing these two drive together, and that at least from Bo's perspective, what he was saying is expecting maybe a few upsets mid-course from Josh Botcher. It's looking like he wants to have as much front grip in that vehicle as he can. Looked like he was going to a narrower set of wheel and tyre and then adding an additional spacer on there, so that will affect scrub radius. It could be a slight technique there to try and change how that car's responding out on lock. I know a lot of these small changes may seem minute to those of you at home, but once you've dialed yourself in as a driver, it's little things like that that can just help you get that edge. A fresh pair of front tyres does make a huge difference on a course like this, especially in the chase position. So you can see why he's done that. I'm sure Josh Botcher off camera had a few of his own tweaks down in pit lane as well. But time will tell, and we're going to see these two drivers go up against each other to see who will get that first place battle for first and second, and who will battle it out for that third position. I can hear both of them revving down at pit exit now, eager to go. I'm sure this is going to be hot. We've got a lot of people on the live stream calling contact.
100%. This is anybody's battle here. We see you on the live stream. There's a bit out there. He's going to contact. Glenn's going to take the. Glenn's called out and said that Yates is going to take the win. So it's anyone's battle right now. This is how it is. And this is drifting. There's not one clear winner cut until the end result. It's all down to what the judges see and what they want.
These are the types of upsets that we're hoping to see as new blood comes into the sport. Not in terms of coming into the sport, but at least into the high-tech drift all-stars. A lot of these guys are veterans from both around the country and around the world. So bringing in different names, different drivers, different setups, and from what we've seen now, different game day techniques of how you're going to, play around in the pits and where you're going to take those vehicles. It all comes together and culminates for an amazing podium battle, and that's what we've seen now in pro.
And exactly, we don't condone any of the violence or anything like that up here or part of the high-tech crew, but, this is judge sport, so that's what we're looking for. The judges, they put down a criteria, and although Botcher isn't doing the entire series, this could be something that he wants to do. We're just going to throw down to J-Mac. He's got some leading information on what's happening.
It's more just to let you know what the mood is like down here on pit wall. Everything has ratcheted up a notch. People are talking in hushed tones. Everybody's talking about the rivalry between these two that's gone on in years gone by, and it has reached another level. We are in for something special right now.
That pit wall is lined. There's people all along the top of the fence here waiting to see these two throw down. I reckon this is probably going to be one of the quickest start line exits we're going to see all season. I'm ready to see both these cars unleash 500 kilowatt and then some as they come off the line now. Botcher looks eager to tuck in there. Bo entering way earlier than we've seen in any of these previous battles. Right out to the track edge there, while Botcher has a correction and loses himself mid-corner there, similar to what we saw from Mo El Houli in his chase run against Bo Yates. chance. Bo going wide, just wheel dropping there. That's going to hurt him in the judge's eyes, but only slightly as Botcher comes back through. I think we saw a front wheel there dip into the inside on the ripple strip, so potentially both drivers, depending on how the judges call it, getting a single wheel drop in there. Man, was that a tight battle, Jake.
And exactly, you know, Bo, just a little bit shallower line on that turn, the last turn there on the exit there, so we've got to see what's going on here, especially with these battles.
Nice entry there. I'll let you talk us through the replay,
so Bo
Jake.
setting up absolutely killer run there. Big entry, which Bo, we all knew he was going to come through to do just to get past that there. Again, for the outer clipping zone, but dropping the wheel there. Judges will definitely see that happening right in front of them. That switchback, a little bit way shallow. You know, they wanted that front guard right over that clipping point. Again, Botcher straight away back onto it, seeing that door opening, taking that lot shallower line, but look, he had the speed and he got right back in there.
Yeah, I mean, if judges have said in drivers' briefing that they want proximity, sorry, just having a laugh at the guys up here from Garage Works who've been enjoying themselves in the pits all day. Good to see you on camera, boys, and thanks for the support. Back to the battle, though, you know, seeing Botcher there, you know, play around with different lines and coming through there. I called it earlier on in some of his battles that he may have been going a touch shallow through turn 6 to catch that proximity. Exactly. But we'll get another replay of this now while we wait for the battles to be lined back up again. So great entry from both. As they come through, Botcher seeming not getting on the power early enough, trying to correct that with steering and just finding himself with a big mid-track bobble. But, man, does this car have some speed to be able to pull back a Bo the Show Yates under full noise throughout the midsection there. No real shortcutting here. He did go relatively wide, or what we'd expect from a car in the chase position. But this early switchback here, as that inside wheel's just gone over the ripple strip, there's no pop of dirt there, so I'd say that's safe as not being a wheel drop, but it's certainly shallower than the judges were looking for.
Exactly, and both cars were shallow as well, and not sure if the judges did see, but did look like they missed that total inner clipping point there. Both cars.
Everyone's got their own opinion down on the wall here, going back and forth, trying to work out who's going to get this battle. And if there was one day I didn't want to be a judge, it's today.
Botcher, absolutely big speed into that big entry again. Throwing it a little bit shallow there, but wow, is he pushing it deep into the outer clipping zone.
Smoke come out of the back window. Those rear radiator setups really make for some interesting car dynamics.
Lifting the tyres there, staying on the track there, big angle, big entry, putting it straight in the inner clipping zone. Bo the Show straight up on the inner clipping zone. These boys are going to come across this finish line on each other's door.
Equally tight chase there. Both drivers having bits of mistakes. I wonder if that wheel drop will be counted on the exit of the judge section, whether that was too early or too late. But before that wheel drop on the end there, what I was going to comment on was Bo, you know, had maybe a slight mistake through the last part of the course in his chase, whereas Botcher had a bit of a larger mistake on his chase through the first part of the course. So this one's a real hard one for the judges here. You see both cars coming together there. Nice on the transition here as Bo tucks in there. I'm trying to think, that's right, I'm thinking about between turn 4 and 5 where Bo seemed a little bit shallower in the chase, where Botcher was quite nice on him when those rolls were reversed.
It was actually Bo Yates that dropped the tyre there, not
yeah,
Botcher.
On the outside, on the exit there. We can see a lot of clapping there, both for Botcher. J-Max down in the pits, what did you see, mate?
Well, check this out. Bo Yates de-beating a left rear. You can see it's pushed all the way up to the inside off that rotiform rim, and it looks like that damage happened on the very last corner of that rerun.
Yeah, we did see that drop from up here in the box, but especially when you're running stretch tyres at lower pressures, chasing grip, it's quite easy to push them off the bead, just with a little drop off the track surface there. Shouldn't have affected him too much for grip through the course. Let's have another look at this.
That entry, Botcher, did you see that was easily 10-15 metres in front of that entry point of what the judges are looking for. These guys, that speed that they're carrying through, they know they've got to start entering early. Lifting both the front tyres there, Botcher is exactly. You got Bo Yates dropping it straight back into that clipping zone, right up into the door there of Botcher. These guys, you can't, there's no separation between the two of them. These guys, full trust in the guy in front of them. As though they do want to battle, they've still got the utmost respect there for each other on the track.
We've got our unofficial fourth judge on the live stream, Robert Pickles, who called it pretty much the same way we did on the first battle. The straighten versus the wheel drop, Bo got the advantage, but on the second time round, the full cooking, Robert Pickle called it as a Josh Wynn. Judges seeing it the other way around with Bo Yates going up against Levi Clark in that final battle, where Josh Botcher will be facing off against Matt Van Kirk in the battle for third. if our pit cameraman didn't have his job cut out for him before, I'm going to be interested to see where he's going now.
Mate.
There's sure to be an interesting result to that.
That's why they're the judges, you know. We can only see it as we call it from up here. And we'll go down to J-Mac now with your winner there, Bo Yates.
You've just been awarded the win in that rerun. What are your thoughts right now?
Well, I don't know. He's good. Like, Josh is good, right? Like, if he can get his stuff together and come and campaign in this championship, this is exactly what we need. This kind of rivalry, this kind of... He's just an immense driver, right? And, you know, every time he's on the track, he's going to go 110%. That's why I was cranky before, because I thought he put in 80%. But, God, I don't know. I didn't think I was good enough that lap, but look, well, maybe the judges have seen it differently. And look, we'll just have to go over some data and have a look at the footage and see exactly what it is. But I take my hat off to him. He's like every time you come against Bocher, it's always a hard battle.
Well done.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Mate, thank you for that. Look, as far as we hype it all up here, you know, at the end of the day, Bo the Show Yates, look, the respect for the other drivers out here is immense. And at the end of the day, they're still friends. They still want to drive together. And look, they all threw it down and they left it on the track, and Bo's come away with a win. So we're just going back to the Pro-Am for battle for third here, which is Jack Gibbons versus McKenaway.
Looked to be a relatively neat battle there going through. McMenaway getting right in there on Gibbons. Quite a nice chase, switching back together neatly. And it looks like Gibbons just that little bit down on speed there as he came into 6. Caught McMenaway off guard earlier on, but then he's used that to his advantage and tucked right in there. Quite a nice chase for our battle for third in Pro-Am.
How's that for a battle? These guys, Pro-Am, coming into that last turn. McMenaway, oh, well, look, I've got a little bit more speed. Dials on the angle.
Yeah.
Smoke for days. I love it. These guys, look, we want to tip in from you boys when you come across this finish line.
Yeah, mate. That's one thing I'm G'ing up for already. We don't even have a result, and I'm
already
like,
thinking of victory skids. We love it up here.
Yeah, baby.
We love it. This
man.
is it. We're so keen for victory skids, especially some of these new guys that have never been able. I remember the first time I got to do victory skids, you were in my ear, limbs for days. This is what we want.
It's a big straight. Here we can see both the drivers, you know, really reflecting on what went down in that battle. And it's good to see, you know, yes, there's competitiveness, but there's also honesty and a desire to push each other further. Because like Bo was referencing when he was in the car, it's the driver that you're driving against that really dictates how good of a driver you are. If you're out there and you're not battling with people who are either faster or taking a more interesting line or entering where you wouldn't have or transitioning in a different way, you're not going to learn and experiment and push yourself. And especially in a battle environment where it is so much based on consistency, it's those little tweaks and experiments that can either pay off or put you back on the trailer. So it's cool to see that happening at the pointy end.
Went away, finally got an entry in, but looks like he went way too shallow, and Jack just carried way too much speed there, coming right up in. Good crash avoidance there by Jack. Hats off to you, mate. McMenaway setting out right away onto the outer clipping zone. Again, back into the inner clipping zone. Seems like this car, he's figured out this last turn.
There we go.
That's what we love to see. That's your Pro-Am, guys.
We're going to head to J-Mac in the pits with Bocher.
Josh, your day is done. It would have been wonderful to see you come out on top, but not to be. Your lead run, incredible, so much smoke. But talk to me about your chase. What happened?
Yeah, on the chase, there was a little bit of a engine that's had that brief moment of where it thought about going and not going. And yeah, just when I was right on Bo's door and wanted to carry on, and it just had a little hiccup. So frustrating that little error. I was able to catch right up and be all over him from the rest of it, but that little moment just has cost us a bit. But we'll go out and battle for the third and fourth battle and see if we can bring home a trophy anyway.
Let's talk about the rivalry, and I got to say, this has really bumped the competition up to a whole nother level here for High Tech Drift Australia. Is there any chance we can get you back?
Look, I know you're coming back to Queensland Raceway again, so I'd be silly to miss it. You know, local ground's very convenient for me. I'm only about 20 minutes up the road, so I'll be back for that for sure. It's a great series, good drivers, you know, obviously full-on battles on track, and I think I said at the start, it's always good to battle Bo and give him heaps. So this has only added to the fuel of that fire. So we'll come at him again.
Oh, thank you so much.
Cool, thank you.
We're just about to head into our Pro-Am battle, but it's interesting to hear, you know, that Josh Bocher is considering coming back and doing a few rounds, and it'll be exciting to see him out there driving and pushing each other with the talent. And it seems to be the common thread between all of these very experienced drivers is that once they come in and have a chance of the High-Tech Drift Australia format, they like the clearness of the briefing, the judges, offering feedback, but also the friendly competitiveness between each of the drivers is, yes, leading up to the battle, there might be a few mind games and oh, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what I'm running. But on the other side of it, it looked like both Bo and Josh were having a very honest discussion about where that battle went and what their opinion was of it.
Okay, so here we are, straight into the final battle now for Pro-Am. This is Daniel Mesmer leading Brenda, sorry, got stuck in the tile.
How many more nicknames does Bogger need this weekend?
Oh, we could give him quite a few, but anyway, Brendan Bogger O'Grady in the chase run. Okay, so Daniel Mesmer there, big speed as he has been all weekend, early entry, sending it right out to the outer clipping zone. Brendan setting his pace, still trying to keep up with that little light 960 kilo car that one is.
That's insane with a cage in it, jeez.
Oh, a little bit of a bobble there by the looks.
Looked like Mesmer was trying to extend his line there on the outside a little bit to get him into that transition zone a bit nicer, but grabbing that handbrake on an uphill section washes off so much more speed than you'd expect, and he just went, Roop! We'll see it on the replay here.
Bogger did well there for crash avoidance, but then staying right on the door right through that last clipping zone and that last turn.
Yeah, so both drivers coming nice here. Mesmer maybe could have used just that little bit more wheel speed earlier in the corner to push him wide. He's then braked on the transition here, which is potentially why he hasn't ended up so wide, needing the handbrake to extend, and that's where all that speed's washed off uphill as Brendan O'Grady then tucks in nice on him. So I'd say a bit of an advantage there going to Brendan O'Grady because not only has he managed to maintain proximity, but there were a few key mistakes there from Mesmer, both in terms of line and washing off speed.
He did better the line there in 2 or 3 cases, but look, can't take any away from Mesmer. He's a class battler. He's probably going to put down one of his best chase runs now. Bogger probably just put down his best chase run. He's seen the door was open, closing straight back up onto there for that final turn. Judges see that. There was a mistake in front of him. He took full advantage, putting it straight back onto Mesmer's door. That's the key here. Chase is key. We've just seen it in the pro battles with Botcher and Yates, and look, it all come down to what that chase battle was.
Yeah, and I think that's why this format with the Drift for Real and then moving into the Drift event on the Saturday, the All-Stars, is having not only practice that you can use for your qualifying and getting used to the judge line, because at the Drift for Real we do lay out all of the clipping points as well to allow both grassroots drivers and people in the comp to see what that's like in the zones that they need to hit. So having the opportunity to practice throughout there, have some battle practice with people you might face off with tomorrow, it suddenly makes it that little bit less daunting when you get into the battle tree of going, well, I may not have driven with you yesterday, but I definitely battled someone through this course.
Bogger there in the lead right now. Mesmer not giving Bogger absolutely any inch of a gap here. Mesmer knows he said it's in the chase, and look, he's putting in a quality chase run. A little bit shallower line there. Bogger, unfortunately, Mesmer there with a spin. That's going to hurt his score quite fairly. Bogger, mate, you've done well. Look at this, set himself up for that final turn. I'm probably sure he doesn't know that Mesmer spun behind him, but look, unfortunately, that's a mistake that he's not used to making.
Yeah, and look, Bogger stayed into it and, got a pretty clear advantage there. But I think just looking from the outside, it seems that Mesmer's just struggling a little bit with the wheel speed variance on this course. It's like a fast, slow. So he's switched back here, and where he really needed that wheel speed to push wide, instead he's kind of used steering angle and gotten into it. And then by the time he's tried to get back onto the power, he's already got all this momentum behind him from tipping it in. And, as he comes back in there towards Brendan O'Grady, has just seen him go into that over-rotation, throwing the car around, and we have had confirmation from the judges there that has given Brendan O'Grady the win. Huge news.
Amazing. This guy straight off the back from Thailand with a second comes here. Look at this guy, this car, credit to him and his team, broken knuckle and tie rod yesterday and a lower control arm. They had that fixed last night. Michael Ginn supplied the parts. These boys, they're all working together, and look, he drove both classes today, so hats off to him and his team. That's a massive effort. Well done. You've done well,
Shout out to Kate, giving moral support down in the pits. On your gal, get into it.
She's been there all week, and I've seen her up and down on the scooter. She's been on the line. We'll just go down to J-Mac now with your winner there, Brendan.
Bogger O'Grady, congratulations, mate. It must be such a rush.
Yeah, that battle was amazing. Mesmer is a talented driver. Put down a killer lead run for me. It was so smooth. Without that, I could not have gotten so close on the chase. Like, I was confident that he wasn't going to make a mistake, so it was a really good battle.
Strength to strength, great results internationally, an awesome win here at Queensland Raceway. What's next?
I've got a pro car we're building at the moment. I really want to step it up to pro. Getting that taste of a semi-slick, just the grip and the speed is just phenomenal. Like, it's an addiction for sure.
Well, best of luck for next time. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. See you later.
Daniel Messmer, second place. Congratulations. Thanks, mate. You've done such a great job, but Bogger was just on another level today, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was driving really good. He was doing both classes, so he got a lot of driving time in. We ended up just tapping him on the exit of turn 2, and which sent me round. Didn't want to crash completely into him, so first place.
It's a beautiful car. You drive it so well. Are we going to see it the next round?
Of course, I'll be there.
We can't wait for it. Congratulations, mate.
Thanks.
An incredible result from these guys. We can't wait to see what Pro will deliver. It's all happening here at round 3 for Hi-Tech Oils Drift Australia.
Daniel Messmer in second position and Brendan O'Grady taking out that top spot. Both of these drivers have been stacking up championship points against each other, so I'm going to be interested to see the ladder on the other side. But here we are going into our pro finals, where we will see Joshua Botcher up against Matt Van Kirk and Bo Yates up against the local Levi Clark, who's been on fire all weekend. So exciting to see that Exetti S15 just lifting front wheels, taking a few tips from Formula Drift there, where I believe it's called torque jacking, where for those of you playing at home, if you set up a car soft enough in the rear with with limited droop in the front end so it can lift a wheel, that actually transitions the full body weight on the car to 3 tyres instead of 4. So if you're lifting that front wheel, you've got a bit more weight on your leading steer wheel, sure, but the majority of the vehicle's weight is then being transferred onto the back wheels for maximum traction under power. Interesting car hack that I love following.
That was just absolutely schooling me in the knowledge that you have for some of the cars there. I've seen the Mustangs do it and everything like that. Now there's a proper term, torque jacking. We're onto it now.
I believe that's the one. I always got it mixed up with torque vectoring, which is like all-wheel drive cars moving their power around. No. But from what I understand, yeah, it's a vehicle dynamics technique where lifting the front end of that car then transitions a lot more weight onto the rear. You need to be quite soft in the rear, but you also need to limit your droop in the front so it will lift those wheels. But from what I've seen, you see the Formula Drift cars, yeah, like Vaughan Gittin Jr. and a few guys like that in the RTR Mustangs. That seems to work really well for them, and it's interesting to see how competitive drifting from all around the world just feeds these little tips and tweaks. And, you know, I remember when bloody modified knuckles were just unheard of, you know, and now half the cars in the field are running a bespoke, off-the-shelf, Zero Ackerman setup like WiseFab or DriftWorks or, you know, all these different setups now, where before it was guys like Nigel Petrie from Engineered to Slide and, you know, a couple of guys on the old school forum days throwing around ideas of, oh, if I cut these knuckles, maybe this will work, and using trial and error, to now a lot of these cars are you know, they're all running modified front end setups to the point that you've seen it genuinely change the driving style and the angle that's being used. Now you're seeing a lot of these cars go away from your traditional stiff, you know, very flat, low grip setups into, you know, taking a few lessons from circuit cars and also from, you know, specific high grip drift cars to soften them up and weight transfer them and get that power on through the back wheels with enough weight on it to lay it down, but then also under brakes or under deceleration, enough weight onto the front wheels that you can make the most of those front end setups.
100%. You know, these guys, they're all pushing the limits of the sport, and they take everything from every little sport. Drifting here, you've got to be fast, you've got to be sideways, and you've got to produce smoke. But most of all, you've got to put a show on for the crowd. And bar none today, you can see by our pit wall, everyone is on there. They are all ecstatic. These guys, not one person is, I don't think there's one sad face down there today.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm going to let you quickly call this one because I'm going to have a chat to the judges. We have a few people asking for feedback.
Okay, exactly. So we are going through the battle for third now for the pro class. We've got Josh Botcher against Matt Van Kirk. Both of these guys, 2 totally different driving styles. We've got Matt Van Kirk here in a borrowed car all the way from the United States of America. We've got Josh Botcher here in his home-built car. This car here's got in excess of 900 horsepower. He's running an NA. This thing is set up and it is ready to tune. We've just seen him throw down with Bo Yates. A little bit of a drama there, but look, at the end of the day, these guys respect each other. I'm sure that Matt Van Kirk and Botcher had a quick little discussion there to find out exactly what's going on before their battle here. And again, probably the mind games have already started between the two. I know Matt Van Kirk is very respected in the pits down here. He's looked after himself, and I'm sure he would have said to Botcher that, look, mate, let's just send it. We're going for third place. So Dave's just going to come back in here now. He's just had a bit of a chat to the judges, mate. What did you find out for us?
So the judges like to take a bit of a holistic approach to how these one more times work. So with the second battle coming into play, they're still viewing all 4 runs together. They're not going these 2 battles and then these 2 battles. What they're saying is that in the chase position, they saw from Botcher, he was quite straight to the point. Dan Mackey, as head judge's words were, Botcher ruined it for himself with that entry into turn 1. So he saw a bit of a straight line there, not quite enough angle, and then tipping it in behind Bo. Whereas when the positions were reversed, Bo managed to put a bit of angle in. And in the judge's words, the slight mistake from Bo on the exit of turn 6 in the lead wasn't enough to overcome not only the straight line of Botcher in that chase, but also a couple of mistakes they weren't happy with in the first battle as well. So what they're saying is that the first battle was close enough that they called it a one more time, but they still advantaged Bo slightly in that one. And then once they'd seen 4 runs all together, they went, look, that advantage does tip in whole towards Bo.
Okay, so from that, basically, the judges were unbiased all the way through from start of their battles right through to the one more time. They've combined all the scores, and that's how they've come up with the final run.
That's exactly it. I did hear the radio going off with a few more specific examples, but the biggest one that they referenced was as they came in together, Bo flicked angle in, Botcher came in straight behind him, and then entered.
Which was in the second one more time.
Yeah, in the second one. Whereas earlier, when the positions were reversed, Botcher tipped in an awesome entry, but Bo was right there with him from the initiation. There wasn't a later initiation by the chase car.
It's automatic, adding the advantage to Bo. Perfect. All right, so that's some clarity there. That's why we've got 3 judges out there. We're able to talk to the judges. Look, as far as the series go, it's coming down to this now. What do you reckon? We have a little bit of an upset here. 2 drivers. Matt Van Kirk, he's up there in the points. You know, Botcher, what can we do? What can we see out of Matt Van Kirk? He's been battling a car that's not his. They've said they have dramas. This is a big battle difference, horsepower difference. It's going to be a different driving style. Got Botcher there, big entry yet again, still showing that speed. Matt Van Kirk sitting there, a little bit shallow on line. Botcher straight onto the power again, putting the show on for all you fans out there. Matt Van Kirk coming a little bit shallower yet again, but look, he's chasing that lead line. He's still sitting there. Again, lost in the smoke a little bit there, popping back out through, a little bit more shallow yet again. Botcher, this run, if he had done this against Bo, who could have stopped him?
Oh, that was fast. That was some serious road speed on that one. Keen to see the replay here. So both, they come in together. Botcher entering a little bit later than we saw against Bo, but potentially because he knows that he doesn't need to enter that early, with Van Kirk kind of limping a bit of a hurt car there from Paul Alexander.
Lifting the tyres there.
Yeah, it looks awesome, doesn't it? All that rear grip. They're coming back through this middle section here, and again, just that same gap seems to have started at the very beginning of the run, and it's opened up a little bit in the midfield. Then Van Kirk's caught him a little bit towards the end, but yeah, clear speed advantage at least for Botcher, and he seemed to manage enough of his line and angle throughout there that it was quite strong. The battle we're all eager to see, though, is Levi Clark. You can see him in his car there, strapping up the local, this crazy S15, you know, big turbo LS under the bonnet, rear radiator set up to help equalise that front to rear weight bias. You can see a full colour race dash that only a couple of years ago was, you know, the thing of, you know, supercars. And not to say that this isn't a supercar.
Not to mention, he's got carbon doors as well. I watched them boys pull the doors off when he gets in and out. These guys, they're going for lightweight. They're doing it. Look, this battle against these guys, 2 different series that they've been driving in, you know. Levi does a lot of practice up here. Bo does a lot of practice in all other tracks. You know, this is what's coming down to sheer skill. You know, both of these guys, I can't wait to see the entry that Levi's going to put in front and behind Bo Yates. He's got to be thinking about Bo. He knows he's going to dive up on the inside. What's he going to do about it? This is the battle games that have been happening all weekend.
Yeah, huge. I can't wait to see those 2 go against each other. But first, it is Matt Van Kirk's turn to lead, with Josh Botcher in the chase. Let's see how they come together. Van Kirk pulling an earlier entry there, but allowing Botcher to get himself tucked and settled, ready to go I think we're going to see Botcher's much faster car just playing games with Van Kirk there. Perfect emulation on the switchback as they come in between turns 4 and 5, up through the dip there, switching back around. Again, fantastic emulation from Josh Botcher. Toying with the throttle there, winding some extra lock in and just showing, mate, I'll go wherever you go.
I
Not
just
stressed.
can't believe Matt Van Kirk is in a borrowed car and throwing down battles like this with these drivers. I could not let someone give me the keys of their car and go, you know what? I don't care. I'm going for it. And Matt, he's sending it. He's sending it hard. This is, look at this. He got him setting, absolutely hats off to him, setting absolutely good lead lines. You know, that's what it comes down to. This lead line's got to be set up exactly well by Matt Van Kirk. Otherwise, Botcher, he can't put down the run that he does. If he had Matt Van Kirk sloppy, Botcher can't do what he's had full trust here. Look at that. His rear taillights are touching the taillights of that S13.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice run there from Botcher. But to be fair, you know, Matt Van Kirk is doing a fantastic job in a car that is quite down on power. And the hard thing is as well, it's a supercharged V8 that's down on power. So it's not like a turbo car where maybe take a bit of boost out to avoid a misfire or,
100%.
you know, you just call it. That thing is a relatively static tune unless they've been pulling pulleys off and fiddling with belts. So I'd imagine that thing is just progressively getting worse and worse if it does have a cracked head. Which is going to be a difficult thing to battle. You know, it sounds like it's gotten to the end of its weekend without throwing any of the inside bits to the outside, but I bet it was an absolute handful.
That's what I love to see. These guys have just battled it all out, put everything on the line. Matt Van Kirk straight up there, congratulating Botcher. Big shake of the hands, both of them smiling. Look at the fans on the pit walls. They're all G'ing them all up. Look, this is what drifting is about. Everyone's a family out here. This is a family sport. These guys, take my hats off to everyone involved. You know, there's plenty of things that happen behind the series here. You know, you got people running around. We've got pit crows. We've got guys telling them where to be and what to happen. Pit crews. This guys, look, this is what the sport's about. We're all about the families and putting it forward. Can't thank them enough.
Yeah, 100%. And look at the vibe on the wall. All these guys are there supporting other teams, but huge hands together for Josh Botcher there, who will have secured himself a position on the podium, I'd imagine, but we're yet to see the results. And there is still one battle to go. We have Bo Yates facing off against Levi Clark, the local. Both of these drivers have been driving so well all weekend, which you could probably guess by the fact that they've made their way to the final, but two interesting driving styles. You know, Bo, super clean. Levi, mega aggressive. Watching them come together now, that's a very early entry from both drivers. Bring the speed to this course. Levi Clark's car on the power early, trying to tip in there on Bo Yates, who's got a clear lead on there. Quite nice out to the outside line there. Where will Levi emerge from the smoke? He's on the rear quarter, bombing away, obviously on and off the throttle as they come through the last corner there. That is a huge amount of pressure from Levi Clark in the chase. Bo's got to be feeling that.
We can hear the crowds down there, guys. Absolutely amazing. Can't wait to see the replay. Just look at the replay there. Just judging by what I can see up here, looking like Bo was a little bit shallow off the clipping line there into this outer clipping zone there. Not filling the outer gap as the judges would have liked. Levi filling that whole position there right up into the door. Beautiful change. Lifting the tyre, still on the gas, right up into Bo's door. Straight to the clipping point, in a clipping point again. Both cars set up straight in the middle. Look at this, both cars coming together straight across the finish line. That is your round, the final battle coming through to that final turn.
Man,
look at the wall. These boys support everything. This is full noise out there.
Heaps of hype down there, but the thing that's got me the most hyped was that shot of those two cars coming through turn 6, and a fantastic example of just how softly Levi Clark's car is sprung. You could see him getting on and off the throttle there with the nose of that S15 coming up and down at least like 10 to 20 centimetres as he got on and off the power. And it shows how uniquely this car would be set up to extremely weight transfer. You can even see it under power. He's obviously got a fairly heavy sway bar in it because it's not rocking left to right, but it is lifting that wheel. And watch, we'll see through the tail end of this replay. Keep an eye on the headlights of that yellow S15 in the chase position as he comes through turn 6. Bo laying down a fantastic lead line. But you can see that Levi's car having a bunch more power in it as he got on and off the throttle earlier on there. There was ripple strip playing with that front end as well, but really you could see him just pedaling away and going, oh, when can I pin it? When can I pin it? Bang, we're on. Let's do turn 6.
That emulation shown by Levi Clark there coming to that final turn, they were pretty much in sync there. They basically, it was like they were on the mics and said, look, all right, we're doing it now. Let's go for it. Okay, so now Levi Clark in the lead here. I'm guessing he's going to throw in a massive entry yet again. Way early. Look at that. Full lock coming in, getting right out to that clipping zone again. Probably about the same line that Bo Yates was doing again. Emulating Bo Yates straight there. Look, Bo's not giving him an inch. A little bit shallow there by Bo, though. Again, look at that undulating of the front end on that car. That thing, Levi has that car singing. Bo, he is right there yet again. Cross the finish on Levi. Look, I don't know how to call that one. I'd probably, look, I'm going to be out. I don't know what to say, but I'm going to say one more time.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see them go again. I think everyone here would love to see them go again. And it's a hard one to split. You know, both of these drivers bring their own unique style to it. Very differently set up cars with similar power levels, but they seem to be hanging together with similar road speed. Bo is known for his killer chase technique, and he was not one to be left behind here. Levi showing that a local track advantage, trying to go wide there, but actually seemed to get caught out a little bit by the rear grip of that Exetti car that as soon as he got back on the power, it dived inwards. So great run there. If I had to pick it, I'd say, you know, Bo's lead run might have been a bit more on the judge line, but then Levi's chase was far more aggressive. So, you know, it is a battle that's run in two halves, and the live stream blew up, you know, even after the first run, saying best battle we've seen either in high tech or all round. So, yeah, I'm stoked to see this is the way that we're finishing up round 3.
We got you on the live stream. We've got guys calling Levi. We've got guys calling one more time. Look, especially mate, Dale Campaign, you're out there, you've been with us before. You'd hate to be a judge too, mate. I 100% agree with you. We're about to go through both runs back to back now.
Yeah, we're going to run through both these battles here. Bo got the chance to lead first, and he's come through quite nicely, running that midline that the judges wanted to see. Going into turn 4 and 5, Bo has used all of that track there, only leaving, you know, maybe 20 or 30 centimetres on the outside track edge there. Levi bobbling away in that chase position, not giving up an inch, and following Bo all over the track with perfect emulation. But as the positions were switched, Levi Clark, aggressive entry style there.
Levi pushing right to that outer zone. They're filling that complete outer zone.
Yeah, and Bo tucking in nicely on the chase here, emulating nicely, cutting through a little bit shallow here while Levi went to the outside line, so that might be a slight deduction there, although Bo did have a slight advantage in the lead, and both drivers coming out of turn 6 as pretty much a mirror image of the first run. So, look, a really hard one for the judges to split there, and like I was saying earlier, my personal opinion is that Bo's lead was cleaner, but Levi's chase was more aggressive for me to try and go for a one more run. How'd you view it?
Look, I see as though there was ups and downs with both battles. As far as what I think, Levi, he filled that in that first zone. He filled that complete outer zone where Bo Yates a little bit more shallower. But then coming into the second zone, Bo Yates straight back up onto the door. But then again, with his lead, he was way right out into the outer clipping zone. So again, back into the final zone, I think Levi's switchback was a lot more better, and he emulated what Bo Yates was doing. Where Bo Yates, he sort of got lost a little bit in the smoke and not throwing as much angle in as Levi Clark would. Look, as far as it is one more time, or I'd be leaning more towards Levi Clark.
Oh, it's going to be a hard one. And look at the crowd crowding around now. I'd say we may have a result here because it looks like both drivers are out of cars and suits off, but there could be a surprise. I haven't heard anything from the judges yet.
Maybe we'll just probably throw to the judges if we can get some information out of them to help you guys. But look, as far as it is, we'd like to thank the whole high-tech team here while we've got a bit of downtime. We can't thank George Gambino enough for putting on the event, Queensland Raceways for all the support that they've been helping throughout the day. Taylor Kennedy, she's been out there as a clerk of course, and she's been helping out with everyone. She's been running around all weekend. You know,
Weapon on a radio.
You know what? We just hate to be one of the persons that is on the back end of those radios when she's on a mission. But look, hats off to the whole high-tech crew. You got Michael there in the pit crew, Glenn Aikens. He's all out there. These guys, look, these are guys that you don't get to see on TV, and we wouldn't have this as far as it is without them making all the support and everything.
Yeah, it's been a smooth round. I mean, us up here as commentators, we've almost had a hard job trying to keep up with the battles because they've just come thick and fast. We've worked our way through with very few stoppages, no mechanical issues, which I think is, again, one of the graces of having the drift for real on the day before. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to run at a drift competition but you're not quite ready to go door to door, as we mentioned earlier, on those drift for real days, the day before each round, the clipping points are set up, the judge line is there, and you're welcome to follow it and battle it out with your mates. But it shows that a lot of these cars have either ironed out their bugs in the early stage or packed it up early or found a different car or whatever. So today it was pure action, action, action. No huge mechanical difficulties, no big crashes. Everybody seemed to, be comfortable enough that the only mistakes we saw was from people trying to dial it up to the next notch and going off a bit deep.
These guys just wanted to send it, and exactly like what you said, if anyone wants to find out what happens before we come into competition, the Drift for Real is on the Friday. I know we had a few guys here on the Friday, and what the best part was, on Friday we did a track walk with all the pro guys, the Pro-Am, and the guys from the Drift for Real with the judges. So there was Drift for Real guys out there getting insight on what the pro guys actually go through. So you want a day in the life of what a pro and Pro-Am driver does, come down to the Friday Drift with the Drift for Real, and you'll be able to throw down with some of these guys. And as far as it is, Levi, he was out there throwing shuckers with the boys, getting on some of these Pro-Am guys' doors and showing them exactly what they can do.
I say we've got a result because I can see George Gambino there doing the final lineup.
Hopefully so.
Maybe they're doing it so we can leave heaps of time for victory skids. What do you reckon?
Mate, if this is time for victory skids, one, I want to see Levi Clark absolutely tear the tyres off that thing. Bo Yates, we know he knows how to throw down a good victory skid. Daniel Mesmer, he ain't shy.
Hey, this is a bit of a controversial suggestion, but I want to see victory skids are good, but I want to see a victory train. The two podiums now following each other. That'd
maybe
be mad.
We could start the victory train.
Here we go to the replay, though, the battle that we are deliberating over now. Bo, the show Yates, up against Levi Clark in that Exetti S15. Two incredible drivers with very different setups and very different driving styles have gone head-to-head, and, man, has it proven for some exciting driving. Yeah, we're seeing on the live stream now there's a lot of people tipping their hat towards Levi, but we do have, say, Logan Waterhouse saying Bo had better consistency and proximity, and that's kind of the point that's got me with 1 foot in each camp. Because, Bo can be trusted to be clean, calculated, chasing the same distance the whole way through the run. Whereas what Levi's done is come in mega aggressive in sections, shown up what Bo was doing, but then also allowed gaps to open up as a result of that, or potentially miss some judge lines as a result of that. So the familiarity of Levi, throwing onto that outside clipping point, as you referenced before, was great, but sounds like we're about to hear it from the judge's mouth. J-Mac, what do we reckon? How's his podium looking?
This is incredible. It's an amazing result, and it is one that will shock and stun a few of you. In 4th place, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Matt Van Kirk. In 3rd, keep the applause rolling for Josh Butcher. And just to pull the suspense up another notch, in an incredible decision, the winner for Pro here at round 3 for the High-Tech Drift Australia Series is Levi Clark. Which means your runner-up is Bo the Show Yates.
Huge result.
An incredible event.
You have to come play with us.
Levi, come and take your spot up here on the top step. Congratulations, you've definitely earned it. Congratulations, mates. What's going through your head right now? You came out for this round. Did you know you were going to wind up here?
Oh, I don't know. We felt pretty good. We tested the car Monday out at Norwell, and, coming from the fire and JPP getting the car sorted, just to come back and pull this off. Well, we didn't get the chance to go to Bo, against Bo last time at Drift Masters, which was about 2 weeks ago. It's amazing. Sponsors on board, Exetti, Nexon, Martini, my dad, all my crew out here helping, everyone back at home watching. It's just really good to, put it against a good driver and be able to take it out.
An incredible job, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll move along. Bo, congratulations. Championship leader at this point in time, still the championship leader after this round. We're looking to see you consolidate from here on in. Are you wanting to come and take out first place in the next high-tech drift round?
Oh, absolutely, but you can't win them all. I mean, we're on a hat-trick there, but Levi picked me today. He's driving exceptional, so it's just good to have a final battle where two guys go out there flat out. And look, we probably just weren't good enough today. Unfortunately, we came together with Josh after the finish line, which was pretty stupid. But look, to have both Josh and Levi in this series, as I alluded to earlier, I believe these guys are at the top of their game in this country, and their cars speak for themselves as well. So I think if we can entice these drivers to come back, we're going to see these battles time and time again. So congratulations to Matt again on 4th, and just everyone that stuck it out. I mean, it's freaking hot up here, yeah? So it's been pretty cold in Sydney, but like Queensland always turns on the weather. And look, just an awesome event. George, High Tech, everyone involved, and to my crew as well, my wife Beck, Big Freddie, Brody, my cousin, was here this weekend. We're a big team, but realistically, we're actually a pretty small team. Toyota Genuine Parts, Hypertune, everyone knows the spill, like you've heard it all before, but really happy with 2nd today, and we'll just come back next time and try a little bit harder.
Well done. 3rd place, Josh Botcher, out here for this round. We said that you were going to ruin some days, and you definitely did that, mate. You're about to have your day ruined with a bit of champagne, but it must still feel good to know that you've got it. You're up here on the podium.
Yeah, mate, yeah, it's been a really good day. Plenty of action. Yeah, some full-on battles. It was, yeah, heaps of fun battling Bo. You know, we had a bit of a coming together there, but, yeah, just fuel to the fire, really. So, yeah, really enjoyed the day. Cars on fire. Massive thanks to GT Radial, Tyre Right, Ian Botcher Race Pass, my family's business, my crew, Daniel, Josh, Jason, all the guys, Glenn that came out, and my family. It's good to have my boys here today, Oliver and Henry, and my wife Alison. So it was really cool. They're not usually at my events, so it's yeah, really exciting. So yeah, just awesome to have everyone here and bring home what Oliver would call a piston cup. So yeah, awesome.
Fantastic stuff. Well, as the champagne flies, it's back to you guys.
What a huge result, these guys up on the podium. It's been a fantastic event so far, and we still have 2 more rounds in this season. Jake Kennedy, thank you so much for joining me up here in the booth, mate.
Absolute pleasure to be here yet again with you. We always have a good time up here, and look, wouldn't think anyone else to be up here with.
No, appreciate it, mate. And thank you to everyone out there who's joined us in the event. We'll be, next round is round 4 at Calder Park Raceway in Victoria, 25th and 26th of October. We will be running the Drift for Real along with the Pro and Pro-Am. So make sure you get down there before round 5. We round out.
That's the final
up here.
round.
I think we're at QR, right? Or is
to
it Sydney
QR.
Motorsport Park is next year. That's
Next
right, round
year.
1, Sydney Motorsport Park.
At South
Round 5,
Circuit.
we'll be back at QR. So if you saw it on the stream and would have loved to come check it out, be sure to get here next time, 29th and 30th of November. Some points upset in the ladder. Great event, guys. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you, everyone on the live stream.